Well. Look who's back together again. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you this Monday morning. Let's get our heads right after a horrific weekend out at Petco Park. That's what's in. Got us good.
That's what's in.
They got us good, didn't they? That was a real S show out at Petco Park this weekend. Hey, kudos to the 120,000 of you that went out and supported this team. You do wonder how long that will last if baseball continues to be played in that fashion. San Diego has shown up for those guys every single game, and that is what they were treated to this weekend at Petco Park. I was out there Friday. I was exhausted. It was packed. It was jamming with Padres fans. Everybody's still talking about this team, and not in a good way today, which is to be expected. Great to have you guys here with us. We'll get through it. We'll talk about it. We'll probably hammer some things, hammer some people. That's just what we do. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, back in town from vacation. I want to hear all about it. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. Good to be back. Wish the Padres had done a little bit better while I was gone, but you know what? Padres lose to the Phillies. News at 11.
Right, yeah.
That's what they do. Phillies have the Padres number.
That's what's in.
It's too bad because that's the kind of team that you want to be able to beat. Mike Schill talked about it. We'll get into all the games. But, yeah, I'm back. I had a really good vacation. Had a lot of fun over the weekend. It was fun playing a lot of golf.
You look tan.
Didn't play well. The tables did not treat me very well. Fortunately, we didn't spend too much time on there. I am not a good poker player, apparently. I thought I was okay. I'm not a good poker player.
I can see it.
Can
and
you
that's
see?
not an insult.
I don't have the... I literally, we were playing in a tournament. I had played maybe two hands in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's like if you...
Like call and then fold. I had done nothing. I had sat there. I had said nothing. I was being quiet just in the corner of the table. I go into one hand, look, and I go, okay, ace two of clubs. All right, let's play this one. I'm playing one off the button. I get in. I make a little raise. The old guy, who obviously is one of those regulars who plays all of them, calls me. Flop comes out. King clubs, jack clubs, like six of diamonds. All right, I got a flush draw.
Yeah, flush draw.
Looking pretty good. Let's do another bet here just to see, what happens. So throw out like 2,000 chips. This is a tournament, so it's not $2,000.
I was like,
but it's a
Jesus,
tournament.
man, easy.
Money bags
easy,
over
big
here.
time. Damn.
He calls, and I go, all right, well, next card turn, another club. So, okay, I make my flush. Nut flush, I got the ace. I'm good. So, all right, let's just keep betting.
Yeah,
I
keep betting.
Like 3,500 this time.
Yeah.
Guy goes, yeah, you made your flush, didn't you? What do you got? Ace, deuce, clubs? And
Jesus, dude, you know you're
I just
dead.
he folds. I win the hand, but I'm like, it's done. I mean, I played one hand, and he knows exactly what my cards are. It's like, I do not belong at this table.
I don't understand it. And what you just said to me, essentially, I look at that man and I go, you're a wizard of some sort. You are some sort of wizard.
It's like Mike McD from
Mike
Rounders
McD.
just looking at, the
Judge just
folded
got his
that,
hearts.
You forgot
and-
that. It's like, how do you know?
I hate it. I hate
I'd done
people
nothing
like that.
the entire time. You knew exactly what I had.
I want to play poker with dumb people that are drunk. That just are like, I'm all in. All right, great. I'll go all in too. Let's get this thing over with and get back to the bar. Well, I'm glad you had a great time. Yeah, man, it was a tough weekend. I will say this, though. So yesterday, I got a DM from our beloved Will Holder, who is a big Tier 1, great dude. And he goes, I feel so sorry for you to have to go in tomorrow and talk about this sweep. And I said, Will, we're kind of used to it at this point, okay? And I said, I will tell you this, a little inside radio. I hated that Colorado loss the other day so bad. And knowing Paulie and I had to come in and talk about blowing, a huge lead in the 8th inning and getting out of Colorado with a split felt like such an L. But I said to Will, and I'll say it to our audience too, I said Friday, if they had won 9-4, Paulie and I wouldn't have had a GD thing to talk about. Not one single thing. And it happened, and I went, as much as I hate it, it's a really good look into this baseball team. And so we spent, you would have been so proud, we spent 5 minutes talking to you on the phone, and then we did 3 hours and 55 minutes of like straight baseball talk, and it was good. It was really, really good. So
it was. I'm sorry that I wasn't there for that show. It felt like one where we could have all kind of dove into what happened to the Padres together. I was I was playing a late round of golf, and I looked at my phone. They were up 8-4,
Yeah.
9-4. I
You're
put it
done.
away.
Put it
I was
away.
thinking, I am so proud of this team.
9-4 in the 8th.
They lose that one game in Colorado, but they come back to win the series.
Yeah.
I mean, really what we said they absolutely had to do. And I was feeling so good about the team. And I didn't check again for like 3 hours. And I looked at my phone and I go,
You're sick.
10-9? What the heck happened? I was like, I was in perfect Padres fandom. I was like, this is the team. Last year, they would have lost. They would have lost the series. This is the team that bounces back. They take that series 3 out of 4. Exactly what I'm looking for. And I have no idea exactly what happened in that game.
Terrible.
I was stunned, and obviously is combination of the hangover and the Phillies coming to town red hot as any team. Their pitching staff is the hottest
Dirty.
pitching staff in baseball right now. And you ran into a bit of a buzzsaw at a really bad time to run into a buzzsaw. Now you've dug yourself into the little bit of a hole, and we remember what that feels like last year. Constantly sitting in that hole, under 500, trying to get back there, and hopefully that the Padres don't spend as much time trying to dig out as they did last year.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking about driving in this morning is, holy cow, at least there's a game today. Got to, as hard as it is, that's the series against Philly was pathetic, and we will get into that for the rest of the show. But I had promised the Tier 1s something the other day, and I wanted to see if we could do it because I don't know that they believe that Ben is like Rain Man when it comes to golf out there. So I said to him this morning, as he was driving in, I said, hey, do you have any scorecards from your rounds? He goes, yes, of course I do. I said, bring one up. And I offered him no further explanation. So he brings me a card. It is from Prim Valley.
Yep, the one right there on the state line. Good course, Lakes course.
Prim Valley.
Yeah.
Brings it to me. I said, all right. So we're going to do this live on the air just because I want him to do it.
And is that a blank scorecard? Or that's his
This is
scorecard?
his, yes. It's got his numbers
So you
and
can
everything.
Confirm or deny.
Confirm or deny. All right, Benny.
So I've got to not only remember what...
Just everything.
You're putting me on the spot here.
Yeah, everything you can remember.
Shot by shot.
Starting with hole 1 yesterday at Prim Valley.
So Scotty and I played this course when it was first opened. It had been like 30 years since we had played this course. There weren't even trees back then. Now it's big, tall pine trees. It's right there. You've probably driven past it if you've gone to Vegas on the 15 at the state line, but it was in good shape. We were happy when we pulled up and saw it. First hole is par 4, dogleg left, hit the driver, right side of the fairway, 7 iron, a little bit right, nice chip. Made the putt, good up and down, made a par on the first hole.
Check.
Second hole was a par 5 around the water, big lake on the left, hit a good drive into the fairway, hit my 3 hybrid into the bunker in front of the green. I carried it past the water, but didn't get onto the green. Bunker onto the pretty good shot, had a birdie putt, missed it, 2-putt par.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Third hole is a par 4. It goes right along the freeway. Hit a really good drive. Past the bunker on the left. Only had a sand wedge in. Kind of sculled it to the back of the green, though. Had a 40-foot par or birdie putt. Missed it. Did make the par. Even through 3. I'm doing pretty well.
Correct.
Fourth hole is a par 4. Drive just off the fairway, but I got onto the green and 2-putted for par there. Again, a little uphill putt. Par 4, still even after 4.
Yep, even after 4.
Oh, my God.
Fifth hole, I hit a perfect drive. It's right into the narrow gap there. You see that it's a par 4. There's a little gap. I hit a perfect draw into the neck, and I have 70 yards into the green. Absolutely scull a sandwich over the green onto the hill grass behind it. Yep. Chunk my chip. Put it onto the green, miss the putt, make a double bogey. First bad hole of the day.
Double bogey.
Then I get into my head. So the next hole is the first par 3.
Par
It's
3.
the sixth hole.
God.
It's,
Water on the...
Water on the left.
Yep.
Bunkers. I try to overhit a 7 iron. I pull it into the bunker on the left. Bunker's kind of dry. I knock that bunker shot over the green into a horrible lie. Chunk that one. Finally get it onto the green, 2-putt, triple bogey 6.
Yeah, triple
so
bogey
now
6.
after
Double,
a great
triple.
start, I go double, triple. I'm 5 over through 6 holes. Ruined my great start. Come back on the 7th hole.
This is unreal.
7th hole is the longest par 4 on the front. I come back with a really good drive, get the second shot onto the back fringe. Tough putt, really twisty putt that's downhill. Knock it like 5 or 6 feet by, but I make the comeback for the par. 8th hole is the second par 5 on the front. I believe.
You just
Did I
eight,
switch
eight.
7 and 8?
8 is 7's the par 5.
7 was the par 5,
Yeah.
and 8's the par 4. So
And
I
you-
switched.
you parred it,
I
yep.
parred both of them.
You did.
Parred the 9th hole, which was the par 3.
Yep.
I hit a really nice 5-iron. Almost 200 yards it was playing,
Yep.
and 2 putted for par. So 41 on the front.
Yeah, 41 on the front.
And then 10 is a go for it par 4. I tried to drive over
Yeah.
the water onto
Short.
the green, put it in the bunker right, but got onto the green, 2 putted for par. 11 is the only par 5 on the back. Hit a good drive and then knock it about 60 yards short of the green, onto the green, 2 putt for par again.
Correct.
I'm actually playing right now. I'm good. That's like my 5th par in a row.
Yep.
12 is a par 4, I believe.
3.
That was the par 3.
Yeah.
Starting to forget.
Still
What's
very
that one?
good. 12
Oh
is the par 3.
yeah, that's right. It's the one right next to 6. You
Right.
go back up.
Yeah, go back up.
Back up the hill, a very long hole. I had to hit a 3-iron, left of the green, below the green. I actually used my putter to get it up onto the green and make like a 12-footer to save par there. That
Yep.
was my best up and down of the day. Now I'm kind of on a roll. 13 is par 4.
Yep.
I think I get that one in the fairway or just off the edge of the fairway, but then onto the green and 2 putt for par there. 14, now I'm on a roll. 14 is a par 4, and let's see, that one is going back out away from the clubhouse.
Yep.
All right, so I actually hit a 3-wood, and I knocked it almost into the hazard on the left. There's a lake on the left.
Yep.
Had a chip kind of punch out, but then I hit a gap wedge onto the green and make the putt for par. Pretty good save there. Then the next hole coming back, I'm going for my 9th straight par in a row. Perfect drive down the middle, right onto the front of the green, have about 9 feet for birdie. Just missed that one. I'm now really on a roll. 9 straight pars at that point.
Indeed.
Then 16 goes back the other way. It's another par 4. I hit a perfect drive, a little cut from the clubhouse tee box to the right, just short on the front of the green. 2 putt for par there.
Yep.
17 is the par 3.
Correct.
And I put that one left of the green, but chip it on and make the up and down for my 11th straight par.
11 straight pars.
And then 18, tough par 4 coming in. I blocked my drive into the bunker right. I'm glad it stays out of the water. Have a 9-iron, hit a perfect 9-iron about 12 feet above the hole, like from the bunker, like my best shot of the day. 3 putt for bogey. A chance to shoot a 35 on the back.
Yep.
And I 3 putt for bogey. I shoot a 36 and finish with a 77.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Holy-
I mean, the only thing you do is switch one hole. That's it.
I transposed one.
You could not. You gun in my mouth. You'll never see your wife and kids again. Tell me about Encinitas Ranch, which I live right next to and have played 75,000 times. Walk me through it. Would you be like going 1, 2? I know 3. You lose me. I'm done. I have no idea what 4 looks like. 5, 6, 7, 8. I know 9. I know 10. I know 11. I know 17, and I know 18. It's the middle. The meat of the sandwiches on the golf course is where I just
Kind of
forget.
lose it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good round, Benny. I wanted you to do that. I have ulterior motives as well, but I also wanted to see if you could do it, and you did it. All right, so now let's get into the business of the day. That was brilliant. Brilliant. I love it.
I've been told that talking about your golf round is like talking about no one cares.
Well, unless you do it as a bit.
No one cares.
Yeah, no, if they do if it's a bit. And that was a great bit, and you crushed that.
You're welcome.
Crushed it.
I do remember my golf
I
rounds
knew
pretty
you.
well.
I knew you could do it.
All right, we will set the menu for the show. Obviously, a lot of Padres talk about what went wrong over the weekend. A little Rain Manish. That's
Gotta
for
watch
sure.
Wapner.
A little Rain Man for sure.
A little bit.
Sam Levitt will join us. We'll talk all about it coming up. It's Bennett Woods back. It's good to be back at least on a Monday morning. All together again on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's get our first check of traffic with Kelly Danek here on 97.3 The Fan. Be right back. Well, as I was going shot by shot through my golf round, didn't really get a chance to talk about your weekend. Congratulations to the San Diego Seals on their overtime playoff win. That sounded very dramatic.
Almost killed your boy.
Heart attack.
Almost didn't make it out.
The season's over. If you give up a goal there, the season's over.
Yeah.
You win. They advance to the NLL semifinals in another game this Friday night.
This
again?
Friday, my friend, against the Albany Firewolves, and
I think you're making that up.
it sounds made up. We beat the crap out of them at their house once this season, so I couldn't believe we won. You know, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, Panther City, and it was a duel. It was a duel, and it went all the way to overtime. And it was awful, and then next goal wins. They had a couple of chances in OT, and it is just the most nerve-wracking thing. So get your tickets at sealslax.com. Come on out. It was incredible, though. I mean, I left there, felt like I'd just gotten a fist fight, you know, in the ring or something. It was terrible, but amazing.
And the Tier 1s got another win yesterday.
Yeah, we
$100
did.
donation to the Peter Seidler Legacy Fund with all the matching that goes along with it. So congratulations to both of you.
We had a
Team
great
seems to be playing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Last couple of games, you're rising in the standings.
We are in first place
Nice.
now, and it was great, man. Meet so many Tier 1s on other teams, too. It's pretty funny. The guy was like, hey, man, I'm a huge, huge fan. He came and he pitched. He drilled me in the back. And then the first baseman wasn't holding me on, so I stole second. And then he tried to pick me off, threw it to third. So I'm at third. Paulie's at the dish. He throws up and into Paulie. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I go, why do you hate our show, dude?
He's like walking towards the plate. He goes, I swear to God, I'm a Tier 1. I'm so sorry.
We didn't have anything to do with anything.
I was like, is Ben out here? You want to hit Ben too?
Where's Ben? You would have gotten dotted too. So then Paulie drives me in with a sac fly. It was great. It was great. We had a really good team win yesterday. Ben Baruff, our pitcher, went complete game, 11 Ks, was just filthy. It was awesome, man. Had such a great day playing baseball. Like I told my wife, I feel 45 again out there playing, swiping bags and stuff. It was so much fun.
Sounds like we all had a good weekend.
We really
Unfortunately,
did,
our
man.
baseball team did
I watched your recommendation, Baby Reindeer, over the weekend.
Reindeer.
What a trip.
Baby Reindeer.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh, about a man that has a stalker.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
The guy,
the
actor, he directed it, he put it all together, he wrote it, and it was his story.
It was his story. So, like, you're like, hi, this is the Ben Higgins story featuring me, Ben Higgins. They don't get, in my case, who did you say I looked like last week? The Swamp? Howie Schwab. They would get him to act. No, you, Ben Higgins, you wrote it, you directed it.
Plays
it
yourself.
happened to you, and he acted in it. It was brilliant. Brilliant miniseries on Netflix. I watched it. I walked in the other day. Hannah, she was watching it on her phone.
Dude,
Everybody's
it was a
talking about
mind
it. It's a
F.
mind blown, man. So check that out when you get a chance.
Unfortunately, our baseball team, not such a good weekend. We'll talk about it, obviously, coming up on the show today, starting with our Padres wrap-up in our next segment of yesterday's 8-6 loss to the Phillies. I don't think that anyone wants to hear about the team's fight and not going down and coming back. And it feels like they just want to see wins at this point. We've had too long between times where you actually feel confident in the San Diego Padres. And we'll talk about the pitching issues. Those seem to be the biggest issues. You can point to a lack of production in certain spots in the lineup, and obviously Xander Bogaerts has continued to struggle. Finally got bumped out of the leadoff spot in the lineup by Mike Schilt after he kind of stubbornly stuck with him for the first month of the season. And Jurickson Profar got an opportunity, did pretty well there yesterday, but it just feels to me like the biggest issue for this team so far at this point in the season has been inconsistent starting pitching.
Yep.
And that's everyone. I mean, even when Dylan Cease has been really, really good, but even he had a tough one over the weekend against the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll go through the other games as well, but Darvish's injury, Joe Musgrove's struggles. It's very tough to put together the kind of winning streak that you need at some point when you're not getting the starting pitching that you expect from your top guys.
I want to talk about some platitudes today. Certainly, I want to talk about some of the things that I see on social media. I can't really argue with many of them. And talking to the guys on my team are huge baseball fans, and they're all Padres fans. And we had the game on in there yesterday, and there was a couple moments of excitement when the Padres claw their way back. That's great. You didn't win the game, so I don't think we're going to give you a lot of credit for doing your job and scoring runs. But I see a lot on social media and people venting, and I am all for it. I think you vent any way you want to do it. And man, I'm getting to the point where I'm actually starting to believe some of these platitudes myself, and that's what I want to talk about today as well. You know, you watch how the Phillies do their business, and you watch how the Padres do their business. They are light years away from each other, light years, and that's disheartening. It's tough to watch. And everybody I talked to a man or woman this weekend said, that's a baseball team. That's a real, true baseball team.
Curious to get your opinion on what the difference is, other than just coming through in the clutch when they need to come through. Because the Phillies, every time they had an opportunity, felt like they'd come through. You walk a guy, next guy hits a home run.
Yeah.
They would come through when they needed to and deliver on their opportunities, and it's something obviously the Padres have not really done well for at least the last season and plus.
And I think when you missed obviously the Schilt kind of. No, I'm not.
I heard his whole rant.
I'm not gonna call it a meltdown. It wasn't a meltdown by any stretch. I love Schilt. I think he's a good manager. But when you come out and you lose a game like that, and you talk about the gamers that you have and the winners, and then you go out and you lay three. You come home and lay 3 eggs. That's tough, man. It makes you, as a fan at least, or as an analyst or whatever, it makes you think, I mean, is it all just lip service from everybody? Or I wanted to see how they respond. Yeah, Schwarber responded on the 3rd pitch of the game or whatever.
Friday night.
Yeah. So it's a bummer to see. And
I was reading Kevin Acey's daily newsletter. Padres held the lead for half an inning this weekend. And Schilt was asked about it. We can get to that audio later.
Yes, please. I have not heard that yet.
He was asked about how every time the Padres scored and looked like they were going to try to mount a comeback, the very next half inning, Philly answered. Every single time.
Yeah, no doubt.
7 o'clock hour, we'll bring back Take on Woods, get some normalcy back in our schedule with me back. You'll have an opportunity last couple of days of the month to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas, where I just was. Don't do this in our 720 segment involves a local team and a brawl that spilled over into the stands at Pechanga Arena over the weekend. So we'll talk about that. More Padres-Phillies discussion. We may get into some of the playoffs, at least a little bit, NBA, NHL. Draft was over the weekend. I must say, I did not watch much of the NFL draft. All I could hear about was how dumb the Falcons were for drafting Michael Penix Jr.
We had Adam Klug on, big Falcons.
Was he mad about it?
He was furious and livid and almost in tears.
I don't necessarily agree with everybody's take.
I think you probably should. It's a bad move, I think.
I know everyone says that.
Yeah, I think it's a bad move.
I kind of took a similar position on Friday. I just said, look, the don't do this here was giving Kirk Cousins $100 million.
Okay, right. And but I'm a solution-based person. Once that happens and it's done, then instead of saying we just gave this guy $100 million, let's get him a wide receiver, let's get him a tight end, let's get him an offensive lineman, let's get him a defensive lineman. They go, let's get him a backup quarterback.
Of course, they have other areas that they needed to fill before backup quarterback for the next 3 years.
Right.
But I guess my point is, if you always make the right decisions, clearly, then you've got Cousins, you're good. Pick someone else. It's not like the Falcons make a ton of right decisions, and I will say this. The only good teams in the NFL are the ones that have a quarterback. And if you have 2 good options as opposed to just one, there actually might be something to that.
Yeah, maybe.
If Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, gets hurt at some point, and you have nothing behind it, well, then you're toast. You're done. And now the Falcons at least have a second option that might be good. And I can almost see the logic there, but I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on the NFL draft this morning. In-season Sam Levitt, felt bad for him. Had to do all those post-game shows over the weekend.
Yeah.
That was rough from the loft. He will join us at 8:35. Reindl Report in our 9 o'clock hour.
He did miss one. He took the I believe it was Friday night off for his beloved girlfriend's birthday, which was smart. And Scraby had to go in and wear it that night. So So, yeah, it's gravy, and then Sammy's doing the Lord's work this weekend.
And then we got another series starts tonight. Padres don't no rest for the weary.
No.
Jump right back in with the
Good.
Cincinnati Reds.
That's good. That's a good
Okay,
thing.
if they win, it'll be great if they can bounce back tonight. So we'll talk about tonight's game as well. But that's what's on the menu. We will get started with our Padres wrap-up. Talk about yesterday's 8-6 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies when we come back with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, one thing we know for certain, Padres are not putting their best foot forward in front of their home fans this season. Woods, what's their home record? You just had that for me a little bit ago. Usually teams play better in their home stadium, their home ballpark.
They are. Sorry, I had an issue here. Technical meltdown.
That's all right.
Okay. Got it fixed. Padres at home. I had it. I don't have it. I know they are 1-9 at night in home games. 1 and
6-11 is the overall record at home, but 1-9 at night at home. Your primetime games in front of your fans.
All like tons and tons and tons of fans.
Most of the time they've gone, had a long day at work, looking forward to the game that night.
It was me Friday. I had such a gnarly day Friday, and all I wanted to do was take my little boys to the ballpark, and we had such a great time until the game started. And once the game started, it was very clear this was not going to be our night. And we left and listened to the game and then watched the end of the game at home and just putrid. We'll get into Friday night's game later. Yesterday's game, at least for, I guess, entertainment purposes, which this is what this should be. This should not be life or death, but it is, and I totally get that. Entertainment purposes, yesterday was the best game that they played all series. How did that work out? Still ended up with an L.
Well, we'll go through the highlights with our Padres wrap-up, discuss the series finale against the Phillies. Right after it, check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few things to watch out for. Southbound 5, stalled car right before the 163. It's partially in that right lane. Further south on the 5 at E Street, getting reports of some traffic cones across lanes. Take it extra carefully there. Also, southbound 15, clearing an accident at the westbound 8 connector ramp. It's over to the right shoulder. In the North County, southbound 15, just before Valley Parkway. Accident involving a motorcycle. That's in the center divide. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station. 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
Oh, a shame indeed.
It's a complete crap.
Oh, I did not like that.
Here are the lowlights from yesterday's game.
Are you kidding me?
Boo.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up, presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else.
We'll give it 16 minutes of salt, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
It's not your fault.
Here's the pitch from King, and that's hit in the air out to right center field. Long run, Fernando back and over. He will watch it go just over that next entire purple sign in right center field. Ball carried more than it looked like it would. And Stott with his first hit of the series, his second home run of the season, and a 2-0 Philly lead here in the second. 2-1 pitch. Tatis sends it in the air to deep left center field. Rojas going back into the gap. He's looking up. It'll hit off against the wall. Profar rounding third, being waved. There will not be a relay to the plate. An RBI double for Fernando, and the Padres on the board here in the third. It's 2-1. First pitch swinging. Jake Cronenworth, a no-doubter to right field. And the Padres, just like that, take the lead. 2-run home run, and it's 3-2. Here's the pitch, and that is skied to right field. Fernando going back. He is on the warning track, at the wall, looking up, gonna go. Second 2-run homer of the day for Bryson Stott. And this thing seesaws back the other direction. Phillies back in front, it's 4-3. Big lead at first for Bohm, not running. Realmuto swings, sends one in the air to very deep left field. Just took out some frustration there. That's going to find the second deck above the line score in left. A 2-run homer for Realmuto, his 5th of the year, and the Phillies now lead it 6-3. The pitch swung on line into left field. Profar coming in, has to play it on a hop. They're going to wave Schwarber home. Here's the relay. It's cut off. Throw to second is in time. The run scores. But Harper thrown out at second base by Manny on the relay. Nice heads-up play by Machado. And Schwarber able to rumble around and score before the third out was made. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Campusano swings, hits it in the air to deep left field. Marsh is back at the wall, looking up, gonna go! 3-run pinch hit homer, Luis Campusano. And we got ourselves a 1-run game here in the 7th inning. Here's the pitch. And he steps into it, hits it in the air to deep right center. Long run, Merrill on the move, not going to get there. One hops over the wall for a rule book double. And now that stolen base absolutely huge. 8-6 Philadelphia. Ball hit in the air off the end of the bat into shallow right field. Fernando charging in towards the line on the run. Going to drop down and a base hit. Turner speeding into second to throw the tag, and he's out. Oh, boy. Speedy runner, better arm, and one away in the top of the 9th inning as we hang a star for Fernando Tatis Jr. Pitch is lined to right field. Castellanos coming in towards the line. He gets there, kind of staggered at the last moment, but he makes the catch, and the ball game is over. The Phillies come to town, and they sweep this 3-game series. They hold on this afternoon by a final of 8-6.
I mean, stuff was good. Velocity was good today. Ball was coming out good. The change up, throwing it to righties. So had all the pitches working. The walks hurt him before the damage, to Castellanos a couple times. And, we got a couple guys over there really swinging the bat well, and we didn't make them uncomfortable enough.
You can't walk Nick Castellanos 3 times. If you walk Nick Castellanos 3 times, I don't know what to tell you. That's a recipe for disaster. That's the first ingredient to your delicious disaster stew that you're making. What do I have in the cabinet? Do I have walk Nick Castellanos 3 times? I do. Ben, the guy will swing at anything. Yeah. Literally anything.
And I was listening to the game as I was driving back yesterday. The first walk was, I think it was 9 pitches. I mean, he fouled off a bunch of ones, and eventually you give the batter some credit. You foul off enough, a pitcher is going to, you're trying to hit the corners. You miss a corner, you walk a guy. It does happen. To walk him multiple times, it's not like Michael King had big-time control problems. He didn't walk anybody else in the entire game other than Nick Castellanos. And what was weird about yesterday is clearly the Phillies, they have one of the best records in all of baseball at 19-10. They have some of the most dangerous players, undoubtedly, in all of baseball, in guys like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber in the heart of their lineup.
Bryson
Stott is not one of them, though. Bryson Stott is one of those guys that you feel hopefully like, okay, this is the softer part of their lineup where we can get through without damage. If you let Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh beat you, you have no hope against the Phillies.
No hope. Zero.
You have no hope. And the Padres actually contained the big guys yesterday. That's, to me, what was the most frustrating part about.
Did they, though? Did they really? I mean, if you're only going to give them credit for one big guy, if Bryce Harper, I think you might be missing the plot. JT Realmuto is really good, too.
Trey Turner and Bryce Harper went 1 for 9 with a single.
Yeah, but Schwarber, Realmuto,
Bohm is one of the hottest players in baseball right now, and he continues to get his.
He's the best hitter on their team right now.
He's been doing it to everybody, not just the Padres, but to me, when you let Stott beat you,
Stott going out there and knocking in 4 runs and 2 bombs or whatever. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's your 8-hole hitter. Can't happen. Castellanos getting on base 3 times. Should not happen.
King had struck out Realmuto a couple of times in his first couple of bats, made him look bad, and then he comes back with a 2-run home run.
Well, and then conversely, on the other side of the field on Sunday's game, Tatis 1 for 4, Machado 1 for 4.
Tatis hit the snot out of the ball.
Bogart's 1 for 4, 3 for 12 with 1 K, 1 RBI. It's look, we said early in the season, for this team to go anywhere or do anything, I'm so tired of seeing people getting mad at Kyle Higashioka and people getting mad at Jurickson Profar and really anybody beyond those 3. You're talking a collective. What are we talking salary-wise collective between those 3 guys that I just mentioned?
$4 million?
No, the other ones, the big ones.
The big ones.
90 million-ish.
So I'm not going to get I'm not going to get super heated at the Kyle Higashiokas of the world. Hell, even the Ha-Sung Kims of the world. Certainly not the Jackson Merrills of the world. Jackson took an 0 for yesterday. Those aren't the guys that I need to lead this team. I need the guys that are at the top, Manny, Xander, and Fernando, to do what they're capable of doing. And that is to hit good pitching. That you don't get a $30 million contract by just beating up on scrubs your entire career, right? Like, we're not going to give somebody that much money. If you only hit the 4 and 5 starters well, and you just tear them up, but when 1s and 2s and 3s come in, you roll over. And you face 3 of their best, well, Taijuan Walker's not one of their best, but you face 2 of their 3 really good pitchers and a couple of the best pitchers in the league. You did nothing. You did nothing against those guys. So, Yeah, man. Yesterday, for entertainment purposes, was the best game of the series. It still came away with an L, and I don't even want to say like, oh, but they fought back. It was cool to see them score some runs late, but ultimately, Profar leads off with the double. Here comes Toddy. Here comes Crony.
That's to me that was the most disappointing moment of the series,
which confirms a little bit about momentum.
Campy hits
in-game momentum.
The 3-run homer. You're down 1. They bring in a new pitcher. Immediately, you've got the double. You got the tying run at second base with 1 out, and your best hitters coming up. And I know they're not always going to come through, but Tatis had been raking the ball. He's 1 for 3, but he hit each ball in his first 3 at-bats over 100 miles an hour, and he couldn't come through. Jake couldn't come through. And it's the exact opposite of the Phillies. And Mike Schilt talked about it after the game, and I think Paulie's got the sound. When the Padres did strike with 3 in the bottom of the third, quickly on the double by Tatis and then the first pitch home run by Jake, right away, the Phillies struck back in the top of the 4th. When the Padres got their 3 to pull within 1 in the bottom of the 7th, the Phillies clawed 1 across to make it a 2-run game. That's a big run right there.
Huge, man.
Even at 7-6, you're feeling like, all right, the Padres are setting themselves up for maybe a walk-off win here. Once the Phillies get that one back and it's 8-6, that's a different sort of comeback. Now you need a big rally. You need 2 guys on to get a walk-off home run possibility. A 1-run game and a 2-run game are very different. Here's Mike Schilt after the game talking about how the Phillies responded every time to the Padres, seemingly all series long.
Yeah, it's something that we clearly need to be much better at. And today was an example of it, but it's taken place too much, where we score and don't go back out and get a shutdown inning. And it's not for lack of effort, but it is for lack of execution. I mean, we had 1 half-inning lead the whole series. And so the whole time, it felt like, boom, we'd score, and then boom, they'd come right back, or they'd get the lead, and, just not a recipe for how to win baseball games. So we've got to be better at it, clearly. Like I said, it just seems like we'd score, and immediately the first guy's on. And again, it's not any lack of effort, but lack of execution. So it will improve. It will improve, and it needs to improve.
The long ball has haunted this team so far, and especially Michael King, who yesterday took the Major League Baseball lead in home runs allowed with 10, surpassing Joe Musgrove, who had 9. So that's not a good recipe for those guys that are going to be, a day apart in the order.
I was told the ball doesn't fly out of Petco Park.
Yeah, Paulie, I've heard that. But I've heard that many, many times since living here for these 14 years that, hey, it's April. We're not going to get anything out of here. Other teams have 0 problems. And Kyle Schwarber gets one. Kyle Schwarber could hit one out of the Polo Grounds with the old balls. He's one of the strongest men in baseball. He gets me. I'm like, all right, he got me. Bryce Harper gets one. I'm like, all right, he gets me. JT gets one. I'm like, all right, he got me. Bryson Stott yakking 2 out yesterday. Come on, man. So, yeah, I think all in all, pretty tough weekend to stomach if you're a Padres fan. And, some of the things I saw yesterday is it doesn't look like they care, and you see that, you hear that a lot when things happen, when you go in a 4-game skid now. The body language experts come out, and I can't really disagree with any of it. If you can't find a way to win 1 game at home against Taijuan Walker, I got to look at you, and I look at your record 1-9 at night. I look at your record at home, and I go, do you guys care at all that San Diegans are spending? By the way, I got tickets from work here, so that was on the house. But I paid for parking. I paid a buttload for food. Do you care that San Diegans are coming out and, laying down hundreds?
So you
and
disagree
hundreds?
when Mike Schilt says it's not a lack of effort? You feel like they're just not trying? I don't know.
What I see is a lot of give up at the plate. I see a lot of hacking and rolling over first pitches, things like that. Now, again, when you get an opportunity to face a Nola or a Ranger Suarez, those guys are going to be around the plate. I'm fine going up there and hunting to try to do damage on something, but man, just the quick outs, the 7-pitch innings, the 10-pitch innings, after our pitcher just labored through a 30-pitch inning. It's things like that where I don't think they don't care. I know they put in work. I do. I'm not dumb.
They did get 6 eventually, 8 hits, 6 runs off of Taijuan Walker.
Right.
To me, it's, again, as I said earlier, it's the pitching. It's the pitching. The offense has been consistently better and deeper than last season. They need Xander to be better, no doubt about it.
No doubt. Manny's
got to be better as well. But they've gotten much better production throughout the order than they got last year. They way more from Jackson Merrill has been huge. Camposano has still hitting 290, had the huge home run, pinch hit yesterday. Eggy's done a really nice job, in his limited role with pinch hitting and spot starts against lefties at third base.
Yeah, none of those guys are a problem. Even Tyler Wade has had some big-ass knocks. Tyler Wade makes...
Jerkson's had an unbelievable start to the year.
Unbelievable year on a $1 million salary.
And I think Tatis has gotten a little bit unlucky because he's hit the ball hard and probably should be better than he is. Manny and Xander off to slower starts. Obviously, Manny's been dealing with getting, healthy again and paternity leave. So... I really think the offense is all right. If you had the pitching from last year that you were getting and the offense from this year, you'd have a really good team. Unfortunately, the offense has perked up a little bit and the pitching has gone into the tank. And the days when you do get starting pitching seem to be the days when the bullpen then has their let-ups and mistakes.
We had one good turn through the rotation.
Yep,
one
really
very
good turn.
solid turn, and then it really gave everybody a nice, good feeling about a bright spot, potential bright spot for this team. And now, this is why it's always hard for me to rip a skipper for his bullpen moves, because you've had starters going 2 2/3, 3. You know what I mean? Like, it really wrecks your bullpen when your starter can't get any length at all. And traditionally, we talked about on the roundtable too, Schilt has kind of let those guys that gave up those early runs try to figure it out and at least eat some innings. Now you're even seeing that go away. Long relief from Adrian Morejon, long relief from Estrada, who's up. It's a tough watch right now. Starting pitching's got to step up, especially at home.
I think that's my biggest point. And if the Padres don't get better starting pitching, it could end up being a long season. We'll continue this discussion, play a little Take on Woods. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods coming up next year on The Fan. Chris in the chat goes, what offense has Ben talking about? Last 10 games, we've got 3 games where they've scored more than 4 runs. You're going to have some ups and downs. I mean, overall, I'd say offensively, they've gotten off to a better start than last year.
Yeah, for sure.
The stats, the overall stats in terms of like runs scored, better than last year. Does anyone remember how much they struggled in putting runs across the plate last year?
Terrible.
It was really, really awful.
Well, it's funny
year.
too, and listen, I'm tired of tipping my hat to good teams and good pitchers. At some point, I'd like to see the $90 million guys at the top of the order.
They're still 4th in runs scored in all of baseball.
Yeah,
this year.
Again, we know some of the reasoning behind that as well.
This is not an excuse. I'm telling you, the pitching is the problem.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the problem with the Padres right now.
And what I said over the weekend, or what I said on Friday to Paulie, too, and to Kyle Glazer, who filled in for you. He was great, by the way. I said, I'd like to see them play cleanly. I just want to see some clean baseball. Well, they played cleanly.
No errors all weekend.
All weekend in the last 4 games, and now didn't really matter. They're just not getting knocks. And again, I think the days of me tipping my hat to the Ranger Suarez's of the world and the Aaron Nolas are gone. I don't care anymore. I'm tired of excuses for this team. Again, they don't pay $30 million contracts a year to guys that can't hit number 1s and number 2s. That's, in fact, why you get that money. That's why you get that money. Find me a guy that has only beat up on 4s and 5s his entire career, and they say, here's $30 million a year, here's $25 million a year, $28 million a year, whatever. I'm out of excuses. Yeah, sometimes you're going to face a good pitcher. They're facing good pitchers, too. They find a way to win. We can't hit home runs at Petco Park. They find a way to do it. Find a way. I think that's what the fan base is really screaming. Find a way to get this thing back on track tonight against the Reds.
Well, Saturday night's game, as you mentioned, was the Dylan Cease versus Ranger Suarez game. And, I mean, you can say you don't want to tip the cap to Ranger Suarez. He's
really
doing that
good.
to everybody. It's there are other well-paid players that also have struggled against Ranger Suarez, who extended his hitless or his scoreless inning streak to 32 innings on Saturday night.
Sure.
That's not just the Padres.
Nope.
That's been basically what he's been doing for the past 3 weeks in all of his games, and the Padres didn't solve him like other teams had not solved him. I think you were hoping that Dylan Cease would come in and be the stopper that he had been so far this season, off to a really good start, but right-handers had basically been unable to do anything against Dylan Cease. They got to him, though, just a little bit. Trey Turner blooped a couple of in, and then that set up a couple of bigger hits in that game on Saturday night when the Padres were hoping to bounce back. And, you got to stop these losing streaks, nip them in the bud before they really get out of hand. You certainly showed an inability to string together a bunch of wins, so you really have to avoid a long losing streak at the same time.
You got to find a way to get those salvageable games. The Sunday one yesterday, as much as no one wanted to hear us come in and be like, oh yeah, I love that fight yesterday. No, that's not going to happen because you got the L. It doesn't really matter how hard you fought at the end of the day. After pretty much rolling over the first 2 nights, Benny, and then Saturday was a rough one for the big 3 there. 0 for 11 with 6 strikeouts. You're not going to win any games that way. You're just not. You're not going to win games. You're not going to beat good pitching when your best 3 hitters are 0 for 11 with 6 Ks. It's just not going to happen. So I don't know what to say other than those guys need to step up.
Yeah, you could point out that Adrian Morejon continues to look good in relief.
Really
but
good.
Doesn't really matter that he's good at keeping you 4 runs down.
Correct.
Correct.
I
mean, that's nice, but ultimately, if you're not going to mount a big comeback, that's really pointless baseball. Those are pointless stats that you're amassing at the end of the game, and you can hope that maybe he'll do it in a higher leverage situation at some point. And I think we can have the discussion about whether it's time to start, trying Adrian Morejon in some higher leverage situations, or even think about putting him into the starting rotation at some point. It looks like Yu Darvish is on the comeback trail. Mike Schilt wouldn't go so far as to say he's ready to return when his next turn in the rotation, I think, comes up tomorrow. But he didn't rule out the possibility, said they'd make an announcement today. He did throw, and he said felt good coming out of his throwing sessions. So hopefully the Padres will get Yu Darvish back. But I think there is an argument to be made that Adrian Morejon is starting to earn an opportunity to get at least bigger and more important innings for the San Diego Padres the way he's been throwing so far.
Big year for him, as we said in spring training. A huge, huge year for Adrian Morejon. So 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 Ks, ERA .93. That's pretty good. Pretty good. And you see Ranger Suarez, and you see kind of how his development has been with the Phillies. They were using him out of the bullpen. Now they've converted him to a starter, and he looks pretty good. And their stuff isn't that dissimilar, between those two guys. So, that'd be an idea, certainly. Not going to get any worse than what we have right now. But, yeah, scratched out, 3 hits. Profar, Sugar gets a knock, then gets picked off.
I didn't see that.
Eggy with a bomb. Again, Eggy, Sugar, and Profar doing everything they can against a tough pitcher. And top of our order was 1 for 14. Xander K 3 times. It's frustrating. Or as my friend Blake Snell would say, it's frustrating. It's so...
It's very frustrating.
I was so frustrated by it.
Take on Woods can be frustrating.
It can be.
for the both Woods and for the tier 1s. But if you want to take a shot at qualifying for a trip to Las Vegas, this is the time to call in. We're going to play here in a couple of minutes. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. The struggles for Xander Bogaerts. Obviously, Mike Schultz finally moved him out of the leadoff spot. I see fans that go, you got to bench Xander. I have no problem with giving him a day off, here or there. I still don't know what you can do, though, what the answer is. Because it's not to simply release Xander Bogaerts. You can't.
No,
There's absolutely no way. Maybe if he continues to struggle for another 5 years, you can start thinking about making a move like that. But you're certainly not doing it in the month of April in 2024 when you just signed him to a 9-year contract. So there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to Xander Bogaerts. He must start playing better.
Yep.
And really the only way he's going to play better is if you play him.
Yeah.
You can't just bury him on the bench until the end of the contract and in 8 years you go, thanks for your service to the team of sitting on the bench for the last 8 years. He is going to play. He's going to play almost every day out there for the San Diego Padres.
And our fearless leader, Adam, in the chat says, who are you benching him for?
Right.
Everybody needs a day, I get it. But if you're we're gonna bench you for a couple games, get your head right, then who are you putting in there?
Tyler Wade, that's
Jake can play second, and Profar can now play first, but then you're just putting a Zokar out in the outfield. There's not a huge upgrade to be had. The only possibility is to play Xander Bogaerts and hope that he plays his way out of his struggles and starts to show himself to be the player that he was in Boston for so many years.
I can see it now. He struggles here for the next 8 years. They end up trying to trade him for a player. He declines that because he's got a no-trade clause. They end up releasing him. They end up paying him $28 million for 2 years, and then he goes on local podcasts and tries to rehab his image. It's like this thing is played out before, just for double the money. Right? Throws everybody else under the bus. And I've seen this play out. I've seen it. I'm seeing it right now as we speak.
I do think Xander acknowledges that he has to be better, though. I don't think Xander's satisfied with his performance so far.
I don't think so either.
That would be my only shred of hope and
Yeah.
difference there, that Xander's not happy with how he's performed so far and knows he needs to be better for the San Diego Padres. He wants to be better.
All right.
It's just been a struggle.
I would like my wife to make out with Paige Spiranak. Okay? I want that.
Still need a contestant.
I don't think it's going to happen.
833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Padre guy says Xander will come around. I mean, that's normally how it happens.
It is.
When players have a long track record, and they're not 37 years old and over the hill completely, like maybe a Nelson Cruz or a Matt Carpenter. When they're just 30, 31, and they've had a really long track record of being good, usually these slumps, even the extended ones, tend to be temporary, and they go back to being the player that they were before. Unless something significant has changed about that person, that's how baseball players just tend to operate. Unless there's an injury we're not hearing about, and Xander has said, hey, no, feel good, not blaming the wrist like last year.
Probably
was an
wishes
issue.
he could blame the wrist.
Probably
you know?
does. That is generally how these things do go in baseball. Now, do you expect him to be a 35 home run guy at Petco Park? I don't.
I would like to see a 5 home run guy at Petco Park at this point. 5 home runs would be fantastic.
But until it happens.
5 at Petco, 7 on the road. Get me your 12.
You really have no other choice but to continue to play him. And I know that's frustrating to Padres fans who, when things aren't going well, I understand the desire of fans. They want to see some sort of change. They want to see the manager take action for a team that is struggling. But there aren't that many actions that you can take, especially early in a baseball season. Does everyone kind of understand where I'm coming from?
I do,
from a logic standpoint, that there aren't significant moves to be made at this point for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, especially when it pertains to a $280 million player. It just can't. You just cannot. You can't. It's not going to happen. You can wish it all you want. I saw a guy the other day say he needs to make him go run sprints. So what? He's going to make Mike Schultz going to go out and make Xander Bogaerts run sprints. That'll teach him to be a better hitter. We're not in high school anymore, man. You know better than that. These are professional athletes. He's got to figure it out. The only way for him to do it is to play. Now, certainly doesn't need to hit leadoff for this team. Maybe he doesn't even need to hit 5. Maybe he needs to hit 7. It happens. Nick Castellanos was a 2-3 hole hitter for the Phillies. Where was he hitting all weekend? 7. Why? Because he's struggling. He makes a ass load of money too. I don't care about anybody's ego anymore. What's best for the team? Do what you have to do to find a way to win ball games. That's it. It's all anybody cares about.
All right, last chance for Take on Woods today. 833-288-0973. No takers this morning. Want to try to qualify.
We got one?
I've got nothing on my board.
Oh, your screen must not be working.
My screen is broken.
Full calls.
No wonder I am so confused over here. My screen is broken. Thank you, Paulie. Let's play. All right. Oh, Paulie, thank you. I had no idea. I was going, why? We always have like 6 people who call in at least. And the phone lines are lining up, and I'm just waiting for someone to call in.
And of course, now our caller just hung up.
My board is completely empty. Let's go to, who is this?
You're on
Roger.
the air.
Roger, you're on the air. Roger, welcome back to Take on Woods. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back, Ben.
Good to have you. All right, thank you for calling in. Let's get right to it. If you can beat or tie Woods here at the end of the month, we'll get you into the drawing for the 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and the tickets to Cool and the Gang. Check out the Westgate's $70 million in room renovations and get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Take on Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. All right, here are your categories, Roger. We've got SEX, 5 song titles and artists that begin with the word sex. We've got mystery category, and we've got On the Money, 5 song titles or artists with the word money in there. So SEX, mystery category, or On the Money, Roger?
Let's do the mystery.
The mystery category. All right, so this is how it works. This is the 20th mystery category we've done. All of today's song titles begin with the same word. That word is also the title of our 2-second song. So when Paulie plays the music, give me that word and the artist for that point, and then remember that every other song starts with the same word. Roger, you ready to play?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock in the mystery category. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Roger. Let's take on Woods.
I don't know. I have to pass.
All right. Rob Hyman is the male singer providing backup vocals on which 1984 debut hit for Cyndi Lauper?
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Incorrect. Which bluesy 1964 song by the Rolling Stones, their first to reach the top 10 in the United States, is actually a cover of a song written by a little-known American record producer? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Time Is on My Side.
Correct. Written after finding out his wife Ingrid was pregnant was Pregnant, which Jim Croce classic reached #1 on the charts after the singer died in a plane crash?
Bottle.
Correct. Which 1969 hit did the Zombies ask the question, what's your name? Who's your
Season.
Correct. Go back to our 2-second song. You should know the title.
Closing time?
It's not. Rob, and you already got the other one wrong. So you either get 3, and the mystery category is Time. That was Time by Hootie and the Blowfish. And, of course, the Cyndi Lauper hit is Time After Time. But you did get the other 3. Time Is on My Side, Time in a Bottle, and Time of the Season. So, Tari, hang on the line there, Roger. Tough category. We'll see how Woodsy does. All right, we'll reset everything. 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Roger.
Time, Hootie and the Blowfish.
Correct. Rob Hyman is the male singer providing backup vocals on which 1984 debut hit for Cyndi Lauper.
Time After Time.
Correct. Which bluesy 1964 song by the Rolling Stones, their first to reach the top 10 in the United States.
Time Is on My Side.
Correct. Written after finding out his wife Ingrid was pregnant, which Jim Croce classic reached #1 on the charts.
Time in a Bottle.
Correct. Which 1968 hit did the Zombies ask the questions, what's your
Time
name?
of the Season.
Wow.
Well done.
Wow.
Jim who?
Jim Croce.
No, the last one. Tim what?
Time of the Season?
No, the
Zombies.
Cyndi Lauper.
Time After Time.
Yeah, what was the
Rob
guy's name?
Hyman?
Oh.
Is that not his name?
No.
Yeah, what's his name? Roger, thank you for playing, but Woodsy, too tough to beat today in the mystery category. Yeah, Roger didn't get the 2-second song, which the key was the title of that song was the first word of every other answer.
Took me a minute to
But
get
you got
that
it,
one.
though.
Yeah.
Hootie.
I actually kind of like that Hootie song.
It's probably the
It's
best.
it's probably
Yeah.
my favorite Hootie song.
I don't disagree
One
with you
of
there.
one. Punish me. Everyone sung like Eddie Vedder in the 90s. I was listening to...
He did well. Why wouldn't they?
God, and everybody...
How I want to be with you.
Everybody can can imitate him. Somebody told me, oh, you do a really good Eddie Vedder. I'm like, who doesn't? Who doesn't do a good Eddie Vedder? You're time, you're... It's so
If
good.
you just listened kind of off to the side, you're like, oh, it's Pearl Jam.
Oh, I love Eddie Vedder. What is this? Listen. I mean, it's just fantastic. Dude. Every guy in the 90s was like, here we go.
Don't Do This is coming up next. We have a lot of teams in town. You got the Legion, you got the Seals, you got the Sockers, the Gulls. Sometimes it's hard to break through the noise, but I don't know if this is the way to break through all the noise.
Yeah.
And why you want to be talked about on Ben and Woods.
You got us talking about you.
But we will talk about one of those local teams. Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't do this. Brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. The Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. Do this. Thecrafttaco.com. I'll get us started. I don't even know if there's anyone to blame in this story. I just think it really sucks for the college athletes at the University of St. Catherine. Remember, they're located up in San Marcos. Sometimes they play like the Aztecs in basketball. Yeah. NAIA school.
We quiz Woods every time. Like, where is that school?
Where is that school? Yeah. The Firebirds. And just up and out of the blue on, I think it was Thursday night, and then they got the word Friday morning that the school has gone, like, bankrupt, and they have to close their doors to everybody, including, like, their beach volleyball team's playing for a national championship this weekend, and they just find out, our school is closing, and we're all not only off our teams, but we have no more classes. They're not even sure they're going to have graduation, and all these athletes are going to have to find different places to go. It just the worst for everybody. I don't know exactly what happened or how the financial model failed, but it's just really, really unfortunate for those young college athletes who just get upended and what they were hoping to stick around for a couple of years. And I thought
so. It's the whole school.
It's not just the athletics program. It's the entire school.
So what about the students, man?
Yeah, the students.
Do you get credit for what you
have done already?
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully, I think they're right at the end of the semester.
That's
so
what I was going to say.
At least get to.
If you were having a bad semester, as somebody in this room most definitely would have been, Mom, Dad, sorry, I couldn't do it. My grades, I don't even remember what they were.
I don't know. I was at Texas Tech, and it just closed.
We'll try again next semester somewhere else.
They went under.
Yeah. Sucks, man. No, that's terrible, man.
Now, you don't hear that out of necessarily the giant four-year universities.
Right. Yeah,
like Stanford is
you're
probably
good. They're
not
solid,
in danger of
solid financial ground.
Closing their doors, but that is really unfortunate, and I felt bad when I saw that story for all the young students and athletes at University of St. Catherine in San Marcos.
Well, listen, Ben, you alluded to the fact that we have a lot of teams here in San Diego, and one of the teams, when our pal Bert Grossman used to be the head coach of the San Diego Strike Force, it did unleash the best picture of all time. I still have it. Paulie gave it to me for Christmas. It's still in my home. Bert and his crew out in front of a Chili's just going for a team dinner. There's never been a better picture on the internet. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Like, your life is unfulfilled. But Strike Force were back in the news last night, Benny. As soon as I got my kids down early, as I tweeted, and I was just laying there so happy in the peace and quiet. And I started scrolling Twitter, as I do, looking for any last-minute stories, and I see this story come across of some huge brawl at Pechanga Arena where I had been on Friday night. Oh, my God. Players, coaches going into the stands. Just a minute left in the game between the San Diego Strike Force and the Bay Area Panthers. Well, there was a fight that broke out in the stands between families. And it was like a full-scale brawl. The game stopped for a few minutes. Several players were rushing into the crowd, into the stands. The families were duking it out, throwing punches, the whole thing. The referee eventually ejected 5 players from the game for going into the stands in what he cited was based on the Indoor Football League rules. Some fans were escorted out during the incident as well, but it was an ugly scene. So the good news is none of the players were actually up there throwing hands.
Good.
They were trying to
sort it out.
Yeah, and so listen, I worked at Pechanga Arena during Seals games. Never had an issue. When somebody is, pushing the glass or whatever, security comes, they take them out. I have heard that the security at the Strike Force games is a little bit more lax, so that's something that they may want to look at. But you can't. I think in this case, I
get in the post-Ron Artest world how you just have to have the firm rule. You can't if you're a player, you cannot go into the stands under any circumstance. However, if it was if I'm a player and I see my family member perhaps getting assaulted, like my mom or my sister or someone, and I just want to go up there just to kind of protect them and break it up, I'm not gonna come down with a giant suspension for someone who wasn't escalating, who was de-escalating, even if they got ejected. I don't think that's necessarily the wrong choice to make if you're going up there to try to protect family members and avoid bigger trouble. And if you're watching our YouTube stream, The team picture. Now, that's not the is that the real team picture, or is that the new one?
No, that's the old one. That's Bert right there in the front.
There's Bert, yeah.
That's the greatest picture of all time.
That was like the OG Strike Force.
Yeah, that was like the
very first team.
year
right.
one Strike Force. That photo hangs in my home to this day. It's a true story. Paulie framed it and gave it to me for Christmas, and it's one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten.
My favorite are the guys who aren't actually looking at the camera.
The number 3 is my favorite.
And
He's
no,
looking
but the
off
one
into
in
the distance.
Yeah, he's great. But there's the back right. If you go, if you scroll over, there's this
Yeah,
guy.
he's talking to his buddy.
He's just chatting with the other guy.
It's just elite. It's an elite
There's
photo.
Dodger hat guy.
Yeah, Dodger hat guy.
You're on a San Diego
and then there's
team,
Bert,
right?
our beloved Bert Grossman. So yeah, that's not really why you want to be in the news last night if you're the Strike Force, but I think hopefully everybody is okay, and just got to make sure you watch that stuff, man.
Finally, a little do this from Monday.
DD mega do.
Probably a much too late do this, but Jeff Passan had the exclusive report yesterday.
Better late than never.
Yeah, Major League Baseball does finally plan to address the uniform fiasco that we heard a lot about during spring training. The see-through pants, the smaller letters, the cheaper-looking jerseys, the colors that didn't match on the grays, on the tops and the bottoms, all the issues that many, many players brought to the attention of Major League Baseball during spring training. Well, basically MLB has thrown Nike under the bus for the whole thing. Not Fanatics, who makes the jersey, but they say Nike tried to innovate where no innovation was necessary. Hey, don't mess with a good thing. Uniforms were fine. And they tried to, fancy them up and do some different things, and no one liked the results.
No one.
So Major League Baseball says that at the very latest, by the start of next season, they will go back to the uniforms that everyone thought were perfectly acceptable before this season. I don't know why they can't get it done even faster than that. How long does it actually take to manufacture uniforms for one team in one season?
I mean, I have no idea. It's a lot. There's a lot.
Now, for the marketing, like for everybody, the ones you're selling, I can get why it might take some months to clear out inventory and change everything. But if you want to put the guys in the field in
you got to do
uniforms,
it ASAP.
feels like you can get that done in a couple of weeks.
You got to do it ASAP.
Not wait until 2025, but they are going to make those changes after a memo.
A memo?
What
was
is a
distributed.
memo?
Oh, yes.
A memo was distributed to players by the MLB Players Association yesterday. And that is Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we have to get into maybe the most concerning struggles so far this season. Can't ignore it any longer. But Joe Musgrove has not been Joe Musgrove.
No, it's a bummer.
And we don't know why exactly.
I don't know that he does either.
And that is even more concerning. That is coming up next as we go back to Friday night's series opening loss to the Phillies. Next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talked earlier about how the Padres just need Xander Bogaerts to perform better. There's really no way around that. There's no cheating the system. There's no replacements for Xander. There's no way to bench him permanently, release him, trade him. There's no options. You could pretty much say the same thing about Joe Musgrove right now as well. They just need him to be better. Normally, you count on guys like that to perform. Talk about Friday night's unfortunate performance in the series opener as Joe again struggles with the long ball. Coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, a 15-minute instant drive-through oil change. Guys, no big surprises on our roads at this time, which means, of course, you're still going to see the usual slowing in the usual spots. Now, on the coastline, southbound side of the 5, right before Cannon, we have reports of a stalled box truck in the slow lane. And crash still clearing out of the HOV lane, south on 15, just before Valley Parkway. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And so far this season, hitting .194 with 6 home runs. Sends this one in the air to very deep right field. Tatis back at the wall. Fernando will watch, and it will go. A moonshot that just drops down onto the home run deck beyond the right field fence. A leadoff homer for Kyle Schwarber, and the Phillies take a 1-0 lead.
Kyle Schwarber and Petco Park moonshots. Name a better combo.
It's we talked about it on the air. I gave his numbers on Friday, and I just said, watch out for Kyle Schwarber. And first batter of the game, and
fourth pitch of the series.
Fourth pitch of the series. You get. We got to our seats, had our Cracker Jacks, and ready to go and watch. Manny was back watching him. It was so nice to see Manny back at third. And he was chatting up the umpire and the third base coach and just slinging missiles across the field. He gets tested in the first inning, too, which was great to see him back at third. It just was. It's a completely different player. That being said, you look up and you're like, all right, well, there goes that.
Sometimes the first batter doesn't indicate the tone for an entire series, but
that one did.
This time it absolutely did. It was the first of 9 home runs that the Padres allowed to the Philadelphia Phillies in the series, and Joe Musgrove, unfortunately, gave up 4 of them in 3 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs allowed. His ERA is up to almost 7 this season, and I think the biggest cause for concern is that there's no necessarily injury that's causing it. There is a small dip in velocity, but there's no real reason to explain it at the moment. Joe Musgrove simply has not been Joe Musgrove to start this year. And if he does not turn it around, the Padres don't really have the pitching depth this year to overcome one of their top, most consistent performers not coming through. And I totally disagree with Jed in our chat, who says, Musgrove has 60 career wins and 57 career losses. He's average at best, but the only thing Padres fans remember is the no-no. That is completely false. Joe's ERAs with the San Diego Padres, 3.18, 2.93, 3.05, 11-9, 10-7, 10-3.
Joe's a little better than average. Yeah.
Joe has been outstanding with the Padres. Yeah, he took a couple of years figuring out his way when he was first with the Astros and then with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Playing for bad teams, you're also going to not have great records.
Being the Pirates,
you can't simply look at his career record of 60 and 57 and say he's been an average pitcher. He's been a far above average pitcher in Major League Baseball the last 3 seasons. The Padres rewarded him for both that and his strong leadership role on the team by giving him a $100 million contract extension for 5 years. And they need him now to pitch. He doesn't have to be a Cy Young Award winner to justify that deal, not by a long shot. But he needs to be a guy who's, again, pitching to an ERA in the 3s somewhere. And
Hell, even 4 at this point.
And giving you an opportunity to win games. And right now, Joe has not been doing that through 7 starts. Again, 6.94 ERA, 1.66 whip. Just the base runners, the extra base hits, they've been jarring to see what Joe has been giving up this season, unfortunately.
It's been terrible, really, at night this season. It's been great during the day. 2-0 with a 2.77. So you you can't really just pitch Joe Musgrove. Joe Musgrove's a guy that needs to be able to take the ball on a Friday night after a devastating loss in Colorado. And listen, again, it's a really hot Phillies team. We all know that, but you got to be able to get through at least 5-6 innings, keep your team in the game, and it just didn't happen. It did not happen. So I don't know. I had a guy yesterday, the first baseman of the team we were playing with, straight up asked me, what's wrong with Joe Musgrove? I said, buddy, if I knew, I would not be here. Trust me, I would be in the lab with Joe Musgrove, helping him figure it out. He says, it's frustrating. I'm not discouraged. I got no problem working hard and finding my way out of this. I've been here before. I'll get back to where I need to be. Is it a feel thing? Is it because the spinners aren't spinning, and when they do spin, they spin right over the heart of the plate, and they just get pummeled. And that's what's happened to Joe right now. So I really don't know. I really don't know what it is. I wish I did.
For those fans out there who always point, though, to the Padres just don't care enough when they struggle, say that to Joe Musgrove's face.
Yeah.
Say that Joe, the reason he's struggling is that he doesn't care enough. I dare you to say that to Joe Musgrove. I don't think any of us has any doubt about how much Joe wants to win for his hometown.
No doubt.
For the San Diego Padres, for his community, and the kind of guy he is, the kind of leadership that he provides, the stand-up person that he is. That does not prevent you from struggling in Major League Baseball at times.
This quote, I mean, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of that about Joe.
No, I haven't, but you see it about other players.
But he says, cutting back on those numbers of pitches you leave over the middle is important. I got to be a little better. I'm excited. I'm ready to put in some work. I'm tired of feeling like this after starts, so I'm ready to earn it. It's a good mentality to have. The execution obviously needs to be there, and it has been at times this year. There have been times where in the wins that he has, you haven't felt like he's had good stuff all year. He's found a way to win those games.
Yeah.
For him,
strikeouts are down.
He's a guy that needs to keep us in the ball game, and it just didn't happen on Friday night, and it sucks. It sucks to see because I love Joe too, and believe in him and think that he can do it. You hate to see one of your guys, falter like that and struggle. So he's searching right now too. I'm going to have his back. I'm looking forward to his next start. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do between Friday and his next start, which will come very soon this week. So we got to have him. He knows that.
Just remember, when Michael King struggles and gives up home runs, it doesn't necessarily mean it's because he doesn't care enough.
Right.
They are struggling right now. It may be mechanical. There may be some other issue that they haven't figured out yet, but the Padres pitching staff had a really rough weekend against a good team in the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, it did get Manny Machado back on Friday night, and it was good to see him not only returning from paternity leave, but playing third base for the first time all season. Then DH'd on Saturday and was back at third base on Sunday. Don't know for sure what's going to happen today, but with a left-hander on the mound, there's a chance you might see Manny playing back-to-back days at third base for the first time. And Mike Schilt has said that it's going to be a bit of a process. You're not going to see him out there every single day, but Manny's kind of recovery and how he's feeling is going to dictate how often he's going to be in the field versus being a designated hitter. But it was good to see Manny back out there.
It was great watching the two plays he made in the first inning. It was just like, all right, this is what I missed. Had a great view of it, and it was really nice to see him back there. And yeah, he's got to get it going with the bat, certainly. But yeah, man, just a tough weekend all around. And I fully get everyone's frustration. I was feeling it too. God, had the Tier 1s lost yesterday, whoo, I would have been the fussiest dude around. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the Phillies are the best team I've seen this year. Straight up. They are the best team I've seen this year. But all that means is you're going to have to figure out a way to beat a team like that at some point. The Padres just don't look like they're that caliber of team right now.
No. I mean, in 2022, the Dodgers owned the Padres during the regular season, and they beat them in the postseason.
Yeah.
It does happen. You don't have to dominate a team in the regular season, but you do have to get to the postseason. To me, that's the concerning part. You're going to have many more games against good teams the rest of the year. And Mike Schilt pointed out after the game yesterday, we've beaten some good teams this year. We've taken series from teams that will or expect to be in the postseason this year. Just because we didn't do it against the Phillies doesn't mean we can't play well against good teams.
Yes.
Padres have a winning record against the Dodgers so far this year. But there are more good teams than bad teams right now in the National League. The Reds coming in today are another team that you consider to be a team that wants to be a playoff contender at the end of the year.
You know, the thing is the inability of this team to string anything together is very reminiscent of last year. String more than a couple of wins together at a time. That's the mark of a mediocre team. And right now we are actually less than a mediocre team based on what our record says we are. So I praying for a 4-game winning streak. I mean, they're going to have to prove it to the fans. They're going to have to prove it to themselves that they can do it. What's our longest winning streak this year? 3?
3.
Here we go again. They're like allergic to momentum. Just absolutely, get a little momentum going and, it's so frustrating to watch.
The only explanation that has really made any sense was one that Eno Saris offered us last year. And that is that the Padres had a bunch of guys in their lineup with similar planes.
Swings,
so when they're good against a pitcher, they're all good.
They're all good.
And when they're bad against a pitcher, they tend to all be bad.
Yeah.
And you just never know which pitchers you're going to run into. They may be the great pitchers, they may be the bad pitchers. And they just tend to struggle and succeed against the same type of guys, and that does make them susceptible to the feast or famine. Otherwise, for the most part, it's fairly inexplicable. They're one of the most unpredictable teams
100%.
out there. Because it wouldn't surprise you if they came out tonight and put up 10 runs and had a great performance.
Yeah.
With this Padres team, it really, like the Phillies, okay, they're going well. You expect them to play well for a while, and they'll go through their ruts. I mean, I think Jesse pointed out as I was listening to yesterday, or maybe it was even Tony, the last 2 years, the Phillies have not gotten off to good starts at all. They have struggled early in the season, and then they figured it out as the year went along, and they ended up in the World Series and the National League Championship Series the last 2 years. This year, they're off to a much, much better start. Now, if you're a Phillies fan, I would assume that's encouraging. Like, okay, now we're really rolling. Or would you be a little bit tentative, like, oh, now we're peaking too early this time? We've had a good thing going where we've kind of slowly built into becoming a better team as the year goes on.
Look, I think any team that can rip off 7, 8 wins any time in the season, and again, let's be fair with that. If the A's win 8 games in a row, the A's aren't looking at each other going, we're making the playoffs. They just realize we just had a really hot week. When a team like the Phillies rips off 8, 9, 10 wins in a row, and then they hit a lull in August or somebody gets hurt or whatever, they know that they're capable of doing that, and they're still a playoff team. I don't know that you can say that for the San Diego Padres. They have not proven that they can get hot and stay hot for any period of time longer than 3 days. So, until that happens, you hate to be constantly just prove it, but that's kind of the nature of the business. Prove it. Okay, good job today. Give me one tomorrow. Oh, you won today? Great. Give me one tomorrow. You're going to have to start putting – you win 4 games in a row, you're back to 500 right now, which is a real – it kind of makes you sick to think about. So you just have to fight and claw. And, yes, I know it's April still and almost May. So but you don't want to be sitting at the end of May, been 14 games under 500 or 12 games under 500. You're done. Season's over, at that point.
No, 3 games under 500 right now feels like something that they need
3
to
or
play.
4?
3.
We're 3.
14 and 17.
14, 17.
But still, for a team that can't win 4 in a row, that means you got to win 3 and then you lose 1. Then you got to win 3 more and then lose 1, and then with 2 more, and then maybe you can climb your way a couple of games above 500. Until you can string together 6 or 7 wins, you can erase 3 pretty easily if you ever won 6 or 7 in a row.
No doubt.
But we didn't see it last year until September, and we haven't seen it at all this year in the first month of the season.
We're not trending that direction right now at all. So.
Incorrect. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
we're not trending that way. Now, is the season over? Absolutely not.
No.
Here are the teams that are within a game of the Padres right now. Giants, Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Nationals, bunched up. I mean, the Padres are still only 2 games out of the playoff spot at this point.
Yep.
Season's far from over. They're only a month in. You can't just write off the Padres as this is a lost cause in 2024. They're certainly not going to do that, and things will look very different with a good week or 2 at some point.
Yeah, I mean, a good week this week completely changes the narrative. But listen, and that's fine. That's what baseball and covering baseball and being a baseball fan is all about. I'm glad they have a game tonight. I know they're ready to leave Philly in the dust. You have to. You move on and try to beat the Reds, who've got some really exciting young players as well, and they're hungry too. So let's see who's hungrier. Basically, and you still feel like it's a team you should beat. Matt Waldron, big start for him tonight. Continues to have to prove it to everybody. And if he pitches like he did in Coors Field, I like our chances.
We'll have more on that series coming up in the second half of Ben and Woods. We'll also be joined by Sam Levitt, in-season Sammy, our Padres pre- and post-game show host, will be with us at 8:35 this morning as we look back at the weekend that was. But we'll take a quick time out for the top of the hour, be back in like 3 minutes, and we'll reset everything, get started again on a Monday morning with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Be right back.
All right, we are halfway home on a Monday. Oh, my God, it's only Monday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. The wound for the Padres right now is just gaping open. You just got to find a way to staunch the bleeding. I like that word, staunch.
It's a good word.
It is a good word. Do you staunch bleeding by fire? Is that how you do it?
Ooh, no, I think you can staunch bleeding
Like
with
staples?
some gauze. Yeah, maybe some gauze.
And then staple the wound together.
That's a dramatic way to do it.
That's what they did in Roadhouse. He got these staples on the side of his. And he said, pain don't hurt.
Maybe a tourniquet.
I don't know that you can put a tourniquet around your gut
No, yeah.
if you have a gaping hole in your stomach. I don't know. Staunching the bleeding, though, is what we need to do. And Matt Waldron will be on the bump tonight to try to help staunch that bleeding for the San Diego Padres against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, that's what Ropey says. That would be cauterizing.
Cauterizing.
When you use fire to burn it shut.
God, I can't think of anything worse. Hey, you just cut the crap out of your leg. Don't worry, I'm going to use this torch and cauterize it. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Do you have anything I can bite down on? Because I feel like this is going to hurt severely. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer. Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, back from his Vegas vacation, his Henderson vacation. Sin Suburb, as we called it. Not Sin City, Sin Suburb, which is genius. That should be their entire marketing plan in Henderson. Leave Sin City behind, come to Sin Suburb.
Other than the views of the strip, which were spectacular.
Really cool.
Really cool. It's actually pretty normal suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
There wasn't, it's not like there's casinos on every corner.
Did you go to
Henderson.
Green Valley Ranch?
We did go and had dinner there one night. Yeah.
Place is amazing.
Yeah.
Like very fancy. Very, very cool place.
That's their
Henderson.
one big casino resort in Henderson.
It is really cool.
Did you make it to play it against Sam's?
Yeah, you didn't make it.
Did not find Play It Against Sam.
If you missed it, do we have it, Paulie?
I've got it.
Okay, if you guys missed it, we played it last Thursday. We had Ben calling Play It Again Sam's, which is a sports bar / gentleman's establishment.
Thanks for calling Play It Again Sam. Shiana speaking.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was disappointed with last night.
What happened?
You could see it all falling apart right there on the stage. It was horrible.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to need at least a couple of $100 bills.
Wants his money back.
Is this a joke?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Would you like to speak with the manager?
I know that the Lakers aren't going to win the championship. They're probably going to lose to Denver anyway.
Okay.
I like watching LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, we know. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, was that a hang-up at the end?
That was a hang-up
yeah.
at the end. Yeah, it was. It was. I had an interesting time yesterday morning. I went to scoop my wife's car up. She had a rough weekend. Hannah was actually in the hospital over the weekend for severe dehydration. And I thought she, because she had a
Was
spot.
that in quotes or that was?
No, I didn't. I no finger quotes there. I'll be honest. I thought she had one too many margs at the spa in the sun. She didn't. She didn't have a drop to drink, and just got lightheaded. She's been dieting. She's been working out so hard. She gets up early, goes to the spa that day, and I get a text. I've got both of the boys, and we're going to go to the Padre game that night. And they actually had to come take her on a gurney and take her to the hospital.
Jeez.
So she's okay, but it was a rough weekend. She texted me this morning. She goes, I feel so much better. But I was a little nervous, man. So she's fine now, I hope. But she's okay. Like we got her taken care of this weekend. But then yesterday we had to go get her car from the spa. And so we're like, hey, let's get breakfast. And we're an early family, man. Both kids were up at 6 yesterday, and we were at breakfast by 7:15.
Beat the Sunday morning brunch crowd.
Bro, we beat everybody. There was like 3 couples in Broken Yoke. We went to Broken Yoke because it's really close. And we pulled in, walked inside, and I looked at her immediately. I go, what the hell's happening in here? Now, it smelled delicious. You could smell the bacon, the sausage, the hash browns, all of it, the maple syrup. You're like, I'm so hungry. I'm going to feast.
I love that smell of coffee.
Coffee?
Breakfast early in the
syrup,
morning. Yeah.
Sausage, maple. Like, I mean, I walked in, it hit me like a punch in the face. I went, oh, yes, let's eat. But the soundtrack at Broken Yoke was a little odd for like 7:15 in the morning. Also, it was about as loud as it is at a Seals game. So they had it cranked up, and we walk in. The lady's like, is there 4 of you? And all I hear in the background is, everybody dance now. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, all right, well, it'll stop. It'll stop after this song. Clearly, somebody made a mistake.
This is like me at Texas Roadhouse with Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, with Cotton Eye Joe. I think somebody... Can I get, I just want the All-American. I want them two eggs, over medium. I'll do sausage. The whole thing. The whole morning.
What should they have been playing?
Something quiet.
Not Jock Jams?
Not Jock Jams. I would say that's the wrong...
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah. Hey, keep going orange juice. We want to do... Oh, man, I just can't hear myself thinking here right now. I think they're going to have the French toast. They're going to do the French toast.
Trying to recover from Saturday night.
Well, I had the Seals games. I'm cashed. I'm beat. And it was full on. It was like being in an arena.
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah. Yes, I am ready to order. French toast would be great. OJ, I'll have a large apple juice. Refill that coffee, though, please. It was comedy. I looked at her, I go, she goes, what is the song selection? And I go, I don't know. Makes for a great bit tomorrow, though. That's all I thought about. I go, I can't wait to tell the fellas tomorrow. It's unbelievable. Like anything, almost anything but.
I wonder how they decide who plays the music.
I don't know. Is it piped into all of the different Broken Yokes? Because there are stores. I had a buddy that I used to work. I did my alt country show on this.
Well, Simon, he says, y'all ready for this, Benedict?
Yeah, y'all ready for this, Benedict? I worked for this guy, Ben. Levi's paid him like an obscene amount of money. An obscene amount of money to curate playlists for all of their stores across the world. He was the guy, and they're like, so he would
like
curate.
The psychology of what music
will make you buy jeans.
You buy jeans.
Specifically Levi jeans. You get them in the store, they hear this, and they're like, I need a couple of pairs of dungarees.
A lot of country, I'd imagine.
But they paid, they paid him a fortune. And I always thought, what a good gig that is. Like programming music for Urban Outfitters or something, So I wonder if Broken Yoke has a guy, that programs for all the Broken Yokes. And if that is the guy, I need to ask the question, is it you, Ben Higgins? Are you in fact the programmer for Broken Yoke?
Maybe they just have found that Jock Jams gets more people to order steak and eggs.
It was
than other music.
It was horrific. It really was. The breakfast was delicious. I mean, delicious. But it was the ambiance. I think I would have given it 1 star. Right?
That's tough.
And ambiance is important, but not really at a breakfast place because it's kind of hard to mess up a breakfast.
You a wheat, white, sourdough toast guy on the side?
I went to wheat toast yesterday.
Toast.
Yeah, I only had one
Solid
piece.
move.
Try to limit my carb intake, but I needed a piece of toast.
I love the toast on the side.
I love toast too, man. I love the
I
toast.
mix it up. Sometimes I'll do
With
white, sometimes wheat.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes
Yeah,
sourdough.
Y'all ready for this?
It's always cut diagonally at the restaurants.
My wife made an interesting order for the kids. She got them chicken and waffles, and it was a really nice-looking waffle, but it had 3 chicken strips on top of it, which I found...
Not regular fried chicken.
Right.
Just strips.
Chicken strips.
It seemed perfect for kids, actually.
Yeah, they didn't eat
They don't
any of the
tend to
chicken.
like bones.
They didn't eat any of
Would
the
they
chicken.
have eaten it if it was like a drumstick?
I don't know. I doubt it. So could have just gotten the waffle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
It was
cheaper.
It was a good meal. It was a good meal.
Chicken and waffles. Hold the chicken, please.
Yeah, hold the chicken.
What's baseball really like? Join former Padre and MLB All-Star Brett Boone and his big league friends on his podcast, The Boone Podcast, 3 days a week. Brett talking with Hall of Famers, fellow All-Stars, and more. The list goes on and on. Follow The Boone Podcast in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Did you see the picture of Brett Boone and his Padres reunion that he posted yesterday? Let's see. I see Andy Ashby. They were posing at Petco Park, a little group. Chris Gomez, Is that Randy there? Randy Jones.
Of course.
Brian
It's the owner's
Lawrence.
suite.
And Rupert Jones, I think. I see another Jones. So all sitting there, right there in the owner's suite, having a nice time at the ballpark. Even those guys could not deliver a win yesterday for your San Diego Padres, though. But good to see Booney out of the Padres game.
Yeah, always good to see Booney. And we'll talk to Booney this week, I think. Yeah.
It's a TBD. It's a TBD.
Okay,
It's
cool.
a TBD. We've had a lot of chances to talk with Brett, though, which
We
is
have.
nice.
He's been phenomenal.
Padres need a good Andy Ashby-esque start right now.
They do.
This week.
Matt
Step
Waldron
up.
does not really give me Andy Ashby vibes.
So Matt Waldron has had Kyle Higashioka basically as his personal catcher the last few starts, but Higashioka started yesterday. So what is Mike Schilt going to do for today's game against the Cincinnati Reds? Will he put Campusano behind the plate and risk, the pass balls and the difficulty in catching a guy who throws a knuckleball to get his offense into the lineup? Or will he stick with Kyle Higashioka, who's a little more familiar with Waldron's pitching, and keep them paired together? And could you possibly see Luis Campusano as a designated hitter in the lineup today with a two-catcher effort with Higashioka and Campusano both in the lineup against the Reds today? Because you got a left-handed pitcher in Nick Lodolo on the mound for Cincinnati, so you really would like to get Campy's bat into the lineup somehow, you'd think.
Yeah, you absolutely would. And I think it's fine to start Higgy, but I think you do have to get Campy in there as the DH. I think you have to. Other teams
Which
are
would
doing
mean Manny's got to play third.
Which means Manny has to play third. Did Manny DH yesterday, or did
He played third yesterday.
All right.
So that would mean he'd have to play third twice in a row.
Well, he can. He's done it before.
Yes, he can.
I think.
I mean, and you have to ask him, all right, how you feel? How are you recovering from yesterday? And if all is good, that is a possibility.
Listen, it obviously will lend a lot of credibility to the people that say baseball overthinks things from time to time. Ride the hot hand of Luis Campusano. Me? Yes. Yes, he's in the lineup today. Yes. Then again, I don't know how his health is. I don't know what their plan is to get him rest.
Well,
Does
Mike
he
Schilt
need
did
the
say
rest?
some guys are needing a little bit of rest, and he was kind of cryptic when it came to what the lineup today might look like.
Sure.
He did say, I'm not afraid to put both of my catchers in a lineup at the same time.
Good.
He said, I did that before with the Cardinals, and, sometimes you'd have to figure it out. Because remember, and the odds are that, does Higashioka get hurt? And it's a possibility, but that's not likely. Here's the more of the issue. Let's say Higashioka starts behind the plate, and Campusano is your designated hitter. And it's like a tie game in the eighth inning, and you get the bases loaded, and Higashioka's coming to the plate. Well, he has not been your best hitter, and maybe you want to get a pinch hitter up there. Maybe there's a righty's coming in. You want to get a lefty to get a pinch hit at bat. See if, Wade, you need something. If you pinch hit for Higashioka, then Campusano has to go in and catch.
Yes.
But then you lose your designated hitter.
But then you can add whoever you have on the bench in that role.
Then you'll have to pinch hit for the pitcher going forward.
Which is fine. If you're talking about the eighth inning, fine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're tied, you might have extra innings to worry about.
I think you worry.
It adds a layer of complication.
It does.
You put both catchers in the lineup
I
at the
think
same time.
that risk is far below what the reward would be from having a guy that's swinging the bat well, hit a bomb for you yesterday. I just don't think we need to overthink it at all. Lodolo is a lefty. You want to get some righties in there. Campy is, hit the bomb yesterday. He's hitting a little bit more hitting from him lately. So, yeah, man, throw him in the DH spot. Let Higgy catch the knuckleball and bat him in the 9-hole and call it a day.
The other possibility for DH today could be make a move and call up Donovan Solano, who has been performing with a little more consistency, getting into form at AAA, and you'd think that they didn't sign him with the idea of just stashing him in AAA all year, that he is going to come up and probably be a part of the Padres lineup sooner rather than later. Is today the day? I don't know. He may still need another week or so, but if they think he's ready, that's an option as well to get another right-handed bat into the lineup against a left-handed starter today.
Down for that as well.
Wouldn't be the craziest idea. I wouldn't be stunned if you saw his a uniform hanging in the Padres locker room with the name Solano on it today. And if it's not today, it's probably going to be before too long that you see him added to the mix, especially for a team that struggled offensively in 4 or 5 of the last few games this week. Get some new blood in there. A veteran who has generally barreled up the ball pretty well in his career. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him come up fairly soon as well.
I'm ready for it at this point.
All right, let's take a little time out. We still have in-season Sammy coming up this hour. Our Reindl Report is ahead. We've got some Legion tickets to give away as well. All coming up here before we get to 10 o'clock, so don't go anywhere. More Ben and Woods on the way after traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Hey, you guys played my prank call again in our last segment.
We did.
Where I acknowledged that the Lakers are not going to win the championship.
You did.
They did win over the weekend.
They did.
Paulie off the air, though, had the perfect phrase for it, a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, gentleman's sweep.
Which is better than they did last year against the Nuggets, which was an actual sweep of 4-0. I would venture that the Lakers season does come to an end tonight when they have to go back to Denver for Game 5. Did have some decent games over the weekend. The Clippers are tied 2-2 with the Mavs. Did you see any of that game yesterday? Listening to a little bit. They blew a 31-point lead.
Who did?
The Clippers, and still ended up winning the game to even out the series.
The Mavs got to feel terrible about that one.
I would think so. To come all the way back from 31 down, and then lose. Ouch, that's a tough one. You've been watching, I know, the NHL playoffs.
A little bit, yeah. I stayed up and watched the Dallas Stars overtime winner. Oh my God, that was right after the Seals game. Overtime winner. It was a wreck. I watched a little bit of that. They were talking about it on the in the dugout yesterday. The hits in the playoffs have gone up like 85% from the regular season. I mean, it is just the most violent, spectacular. Really wish we had a NHL team.
I mean,
here
defensive
that was
intensity goes up in the NBA playoffs for sure. Oh, yeah, because it's pretty low in the regular season. So it goes up in the playoffs, but there's no sport that the playoffs, I think, are more different than the regular season than hockey.
It's night and day.
Baseball is pretty much the same with just more pressure.
Yeah, football's the
they
same.
They don't really change the game. Football, every game's so important, even in the regular season.
Play
the
so
playoff
hard.
games are not that different, but in hockey, it's like almost a different sport.
It literally is a different. You're like, and you can see, you realize too, you can't play every game in the regular season like that. Nobody would make it through. Everyone would be hanging by a string. So they kind of, skate a little bump here and there. Playoffs, you're just toast. They just come after you. They body you. They board you. It's so much fun to watch. And again, having a team here in San Diego right now that was in the NHL playoffs would be such a big help in alleviating the San Diego Padres misery that we're all feeling.
The team that's probably in the biggest torture chamber is the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they get swept by the T-Wolves. Durant, Booker, Beal, they've got all the stars. They're way over the salary cap. Those guys are going to each make $50 million next year. No one's going to take them. They got the new owner. Nothing they can do about it. They could probably fire another coach. That's probably the team in the biggest postseason torture chamber right now. They couldn't even get a single win. So there's your quick postseason update. Speaking of the postseason, Padres obviously lost to the Phillies in 2022 in the playoffs. And there was a moment where it all seemed to go wrong in San Diego. It involved a appearance on local television by a group of dad bod-looking gentlemen who rapped their way to infamy on local TV. So the NBC Sports Philadelphia television crew, at the end of the sweep this weekend, decided to revisit that. Paulie, they just threw it in at the end of the highlight montage at the end of the weekend with a little courtesy KUSI right there on the end, and had those guys dancing and singing. Trolling. They were trolling the San Diego Padres, the fan base.
As they go to break.
Everything.
Yeah.
Is that out of bounds, or is that fair game for the Phillies and their broadcasters?
Fair game.
Fair game.
Yeah. We deserve it.
They also, their social media tweeted, sweeping in San Diego. That's what's in. I mean, it's really cool to let a team come into your house and just punk you for 3 straight games at home, sold out crowds. So they absolutely beat the snot out of you on the field. Then their social media throws one at you. That's what's in. Then their television also throws it in at the end.
Bryce gonna lose and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in.
I don't know that we'll ever. It's like an.
None of us endorsed that at the time.
No, it's like an
other than maybe those guys and the television station that put them on.
It's like it's like our permanent ancient Indian burial ground. I don't.
Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose.
Our sister station down the hall had them in after it was over, and they were lurking around the building.
We were trying to barricade our doors.
We weren't trying to barricade our door. We put paper over the thin window
You put a sign on the front that said "Gone fishing."
Gone fishing. That's right. I did. You're absolutely right. I wrote on a piece of legal pad, "Gone fishing," and taped
with
it
glass
to the door.
windows that look through each studio. Like we can see.
I could see out
into KSON, and we were like looking.
Is
and
that
we were hiding?
Hiding.
Is there a statute of limitation?
No.
Forever
Well,
and ever?
if we beat the only way to exercise, you got to beat them in the playoffs. That's the only.
And then do we play it again?
Then we play it.
No,
yes,
we're never playing it again.
No. When we beat them, we say, no, that's what's in. That's how you do it.
I don't want to.
Philly going down
don't.
to yellow and brown. That's what's in.
How do we exercise this demon?
I don't know.
It's been all downhill ever since then.
It never leaves.
Really has. I mean, that is like the turning point of the franchise
of
at
our
this
lives.
moment.
I don't remember when in the playoffs that actually aired. Was it right before the series?
Right before the series.
Was it
like the day
tied
of
1-1 going back
no,
to
I
Philly?
think if I'm not mistaken, it was before game 1, I believe.
I mean, you got the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah, the Billy Goat curse.
Billy Goat curse.
And you've got the That's What's In guys.
The
Steve
That's
Bartman.
What's in curse.
The That's What's In curse. It's a real thing.
That's what's in.
I mean, they tried in Chicago for many years.
Bro, they were like sacrificing live animals and stuff to try to break
They tried
that
in
curse.
Boston.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we going to do about it?
There's nothing we can do. I mean, it's tough.
I'm open to any suggestions on how to exercise this.
Patrick says, all that reminds me of is Woods screaming, "Stop embarrassing our city." I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it until it happens. I don't know that we're a playoff team this year. I really hope that we are. We're not on a really good pace right now. That being said, if you're that guy that's like, hey, I'm going to go down the Coronado Bridge and do a wrap, I'll find you, man. I really will find you. Like, you got to let's try to act like we've been there before. I know we haven't been a bunch, but that's a tough one. And to have it thrown back up by not only the TV crew, they all got together. They're like, hey, if we get
Have
this
this
week,
clip ready to go.
We know exactly what we're doing today. And by the way, I tip my hat to you. Good sirs. It's brilliant that you did it. You should have done it. Keep doing it.
I mean, we would have done the exact same thing.
There's no question. Now, I've found raps from other fan bases. This is a Philly guy that has one. It's terrible. I tried to give us some reverse mojo. I tweeted it the other day. Nothing. Not a damn thing.
I mean,
Swept.
we're making the effort to try.
We really are trying.
Bryce gonna lose, and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in.
And I know there's so many people out there. Stop playing it. We deserve this.
We deserve it. We do.
We deserve that. Ugh.
Yeah, I hated seeing it. I tweeted, we are in the 7th ring of hell with this thing when the TV put it on there.
Take a look around, Ellen.
Yeah, take a look around. We're at the threshold of hell. It's like, not only do you get swept, you have to get your face rubbed in it as well. Never a good moment.
I did not like that.
All right, Sammy Levitt is What's In coming up next on Ben and Woods. We'll talk to in-season Sammy. Tough weekend, obviously, for him as well. We'll get his thoughts on the Padres, Phillies, and looking ahead to the Reds coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, rest easy, everybody. I think we have found a way out of the that's what's in curse. Just got a text from my beloved John and said, well, the only way to reverse it, obviously, is to play it backwards.
Certainly willing to give it a try.
And I
literally
thought,
reverse it?
to reverse the curse, you have to play it backwards. And so Paulie said, I can handle that.
It's those that I'm in this I'll suddenly free. It's those that so him so it's those that so works then so it's those that wow never I know you live.
All right.
I feel lighter. I feel like something has left my body. You guys feel better?
Streak incoming. Here we go.
Oh, thank you,
May
John.
never lose to the Phillies again.
Or anybody. Thank you, John, for literally eliminating that curse from our city.
Squirrely says, sounds like drunks. What did they sound like forwards?
Right.
It's those that
I want to hear that many more times.
It's those that
so good.
All right, we're going to check traffic. In-season Sammy Levitt standing by. Going to join us next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
A couple of accidents in the North County, one partially in lanes on westbound 78 at Nordall Road, also eastbound 78 at Vista Way, car facing the wrong way in the fast lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, he was in over the weekend. You guys told me that Sammy actually took a day off finally on Friday, but
Smart move.
He was there in the Western. I listened to his entire post-game show on my drive back from Nevada yesterday. A sad post-game show after a sweep, but he tried to keep it as upbeat as possible. In season, Sammy Levitt with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning to you, Sammy.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. Did you like our reverse the curse there? I thought it sounded pretty good.
I did. And I don't know if you guys, I saw the NBC broadcast played it at the end, but also the Phillies social media team, they were having fun with it too.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah, we just talked about it. Really fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was that kind of weekend, but hey, all's fair, right? We would be laughing if the Padres social media team did something like that. So all's fair when the series goes the way it did over the weekend, I guess.
Yep.
Sammy, since we talked to you last Monday, Mike Shildt had I don't want to call it a meltdown, but he certainly had a feisty moment with the media in Colorado. And then this weekend, he has this tendency to go relentlessly positive even when things are going bad. You interact with him almost every single day. What's your kind of analysis of where Mike Shildt stands here with the team struggling? Does he really believe the positive stuff that he talks about with the media, or do you feel like there may be a different message behind closed doors for the team?
Well, I think with Mike Shildt, obviously we've seen some of that, fire in him, whether it's getting at the umpires or obviously what we saw after the game on Thursday in that interaction, even though, he was really getting fired up and talking positively about his team while doing it. Look, I can't imagine that he is all that pleased with how it's going. And I don't know how much of that is the record, and how much of that is just the fact that this team, for the most part, has not played a great brand of baseball, right? As far as falling behind in a lot of games, as far as not playing very clean defense, although actually in this 4-game losing skid, they've actually played better defense. But before that, wasn't very good defensively. And, fundamentally, I don't think it's been really clean so far. We've seen guys getting picked off quite a bit. I mean, the thing we heard about Mike Shildt when he took the job was that this is somebody that really, really keys in on the fundamentals and will clean up some of those things. And I don't think this team has played a particularly clean or fundamentally sound brand of baseball to this point. That's not the whole reason the record's 14-17, but that is some of the reason. So I have to imagine, despite, and this is just me speculating here, but despite, him being pretty positive to the media, and I think he should be. I mean, it is April 28th, and we've got a long way to go, and there was a good point made in Kevin Acey's newsletter this morning, which I didn't realize, that a couple of Mike Shildt's teams in St. Louis that ended up with good records at the end of the season, we're sort of middling in the early part and middle of the season. So I think he probably has that perspective that it's a long year and we've got a long way to go, and that can be true. But also that I don't think this team has played the brand of baseball that he, I would imagine, probably wants it at this point. But I understand the positivity this early, and when you've got a team with veterans that need to play better and you're still relying on the back of the baseball card, and I know it's all the things we talked about last year, but 31 games into your first year at the helm, I understand why he's, spoken to the media post-game very positively and pointing out the positives. But, I would imagine behind closed doors, he's probably not all that happy with the way they've played based on sort of what we know about Mike Shildt and what he values.
Talking to our pal Sammy, in-season Sammy here on Ben and Wood. Sammy, you've been doing a great job. The lineup change yesterday, I think, was a little bit needed, certainly, and moving some guys around, getting Xander maybe out of the leadoff spot.
Yeah.
Did Mike Shildt talk about his reasoning for that? I missed that entirely. Did he talk about, the plan going forward? I got to imagine, just giving one day for Xander out of the leadoff is probably not going to happen. I mean, you got a lefty on the bump tonight. They have the opportunity to do some different things.
Yeah.
I just wonder if they will.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded yesterday, obviously, like there was, reasoning to just shake it up, right, based on what the offense had done the 2 days prior. I think there was a little bit of matchup stuff in there, too, because you look at Jurickson Profar, he's playing well. He's been arguably the team's best overall hitter, right, to this point, which is a good thing, but also not what you want or you expect, right,
100%.
over the course of a couple of months here. I mean, that's great for Profar.
It's such a gift.
Awesome.
Yeah,
right.
it's such a gift.
It's a gift. You're right. It's a little cherry on top of the cake, right? But it can't be the whole cake, right? I mean, that's gotta come from the guys who are making the big bucks. So, but back to the lineup. I mean, we'll see today. I think a little bit of it was matchup based. If you looked at, I think it was Profar's numbers against Walker. They were pretty good. I'm jogging my memory now to look at what I wrote post game, but I think that was part of it. Something I talked about post game was Profar having good numbers against Walker, so that may have been a little part of it. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a similar looking lineup today. I think if you're going to make a shakeup like that, you've got to give it, a few days at least to see how it ultimately performs. And look, yesterday they were able to generate 6 runs. That clearly was not enough for yesterday or in this series. It also came both times in a span of 3 batters. They got 3 runs really quickly, and aside from that, they didn't do a whole lot. I mean, it was awesome that they made it a 1-run game yesterday, but hey, you get Profar on second base with 1 out, and you've got Tatis and Jake behind him. They've got to find a way to get him in when you've got that kind of momentum. And, I know this isn't necessarily a point about the lineup, but to me, that was the story of the series. I mean, your 3 highest paid guys, Manny, Xander, and Fernando Tatis Jr. were 4 for 29 with a double. And, in most 3-game series, that's not going to be nearly enough from those guys because they are so important to this offense. But even more so than that, when you're playing this Phillies team, which is just loaded, and they're playing great baseball, and they're pitching really well, just not enough, right? You need more pop, you need more slug, you need more from those guys. And it is imperative that they start getting that from those guys because the schedule is not any easier coming up.
Sam, you sound like Woods did earlier. And neither of you are wrong. Stars have to play like stars. But ultimately, and while, yes, Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola held the Padres down, the Padres have still scored the 4th most runs in baseball. The offense has been better this year. To me, the difference this year has been mostly in the starting pitching. And the biggest difference in the starting pitching, Sammy, has been in the home runs allowed. One of the stats today that all of Michael King's runs, other than like 4 of them this year, have come on home runs allowed. Joe Musgrove is something similar. The long ball has been an incredible problem for the Padres pitching staff this season. What's the discussion going on there? And is that something that seems like fixable to you?
It's interesting, right? I mean, again, we talk about the problems from this series. And really, if you want to go back even further, and this is including that start for Michael King in Milwaukee, if you go back to that game where they lost 1-0, even including that King start, which was tremendous, the starting pitching has nearly a 6 ERA. in the last 11 games, and this weekend, giving up 18 earned runs total in 15 innings, albeit to a really powerful Phillies lineup that has some really hot hitters in it. But, that's tough. And that, puts your offense and your team at a real disadvantage when you're giving up those kinds of run totals from your starting pitching. As far as can it be fixed, I think it can. I mean, I think each guy is a bit of a different situation. Obviously, Joe has been up and down, really struggled on Friday. He says he feels great. Mike Schultz says he feels good. He is coming off the shoulder issue last year. Is that affecting him at all? Is that why the velocity's a little bit down? Again, I can only go off what he and Mike Schultz say, and all the physical stuff, they've said is good. So, you hope Joe can settle into one of those grooves, much like we saw last year. I think certainly Joe is very capable of that, but he's got to obviously go out and settle into that groove. I'm not worried about Dylan Cease out of the 5. I think, that was him facing a really good lineup on Saturday. And by the way, all the damage for Cease came with 2 outs. So that really could have been a different outing for Cease. I'm not all that concerned about him. Look, Yu Darvish is coming off the IL, and the results have, not been, all that great so far with you. I mean, it's been up and down. So we'll see when he comes off the IL what he looks like. And then for Michael King, look, if he can just stop giving up home runs, I think he'll be fine. We've sort of seen what the potential of Michael King is, but the home runs have just been a huge issue. But for him, again, he's a guy that is doing something he's never done before, which is be a starting pitcher from the very outset of a season. So I think he's somebody who ultimately can settle into a groove. And then, Matt Waldron, I think, is giving you what you expect, your number 5 starter to give you at this point. But obviously, things could hypothetically go sideways with him, but they could also go really well with him. So, look, I think in the cases of Darvish and Musgrove, you're hoping they settle in. I'm not very worried about Cease. I think if King can just figure out a way to limit these home runs, I think it'll go well for him, and you'll see what you get from Waldron. So I do think there is a path to turning it around with this rotation, but there's no doubt, Ben, that, man, it's so important that they get, a better next turn or two from this rotation in order to win some more games because, when you're giving up, 18 runs in 15 innings over the course of a 3-game series from your starting staff and just falling behind, it's really hard to win baseball games like that. But I still am, I would say, on the whole, optimistic that we will see, better from this rotation over the course of the long haul.
Yeah, and, as far as the run, I'm not going to harp on the runs scored and things like that. They've been a little bit better this year, but you also got to remember there's a 15. They scored 15 one game. They scored 13 another. They scored 10 another. Their sweet spot right now is about 2 runs. That's the most out of the number of runs they've scored in a game. They've done that the most. It's 7 times. Now, one little bright spot, 6 runs. They've done that 6 times. Scored 6 yesterday and didn't get the win. But so the feast or famine. It's a little bit. It's not as bad as last year, certainly, because you feel like last year's game. They would have won that game yesterday against Taijuan Walker 12-1, right? You get bodied the first 2 games at home, you barely score, and then you go in and you beat Taijuan Walker, you score 12 runs, and go, oh, okay, maybe we're figuring something out. But you take away the 15 and the 13. Pretty average team runs scored wise. So just kind of something to monitor as we move forward. It has been a little bit better, but these last 4 games have really been a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the game on Thursday was a bit of an anomaly in the sense that the offense actually did a really good job, right, in scoring early and then tacking on, but then it all came crashing down in that 8th inning. I mean, since that 8th inning, I think I calculated yesterday. I'm trying to look it up here. I can't find the number that I wrote down. But, if you go back to how they've been outscored since that 8th inning, it isn't very pretty. And obviously you were hoping that loss would not turn into a losing skid, and it has. Now, is that all on the Padres and the way they've played? I think part of it is, but I also think that part of it is the fact that this Phillies team is really good. And I'm not making one big excuse for the Padres, but look, we saw there's a gap right now between these 2 teams, the way the Phillies are pitching, the way they're hitting, the way their stars are performing, even guys that aren't among their highest paid players, like an Alec Bohm. My goodness, I mean, he's just unbelievable right now. So, there was a gap this weekend, and unfortunately, from that 8th inning on Thursday on, I mean, it's sort of snowballed into a losing skid, and the Reds have played pretty well, and tonight's starting pitcher Nick Lodolo for them has been pretty good. So again, you look at this schedule, it's not getting much easier for a while.
That's a fair point that the Phillies are a red-hot team. They were hot before they got here. Every team in baseball will run into a hot team and get swept. I mean, there will be no team that doesn't get swept at some point. Yet, when it comes to the Padres, we do feel like, and maybe this is a good sign, we still feel like they should be able to compete against these teams. Are we being fair that we say, hey, even after all the changes and the lowering of the payroll, we still feel like this team should be able to compete against a team like the Philadelphia Phillies?
They should be better.
I agree. I agree.
Joe pitches better. Cease pitches better. Yeah, I really thought they'd win the Dylan Cease game. I really did. As hot as Ranger Suarez had been, Cease had been really, really good, and what he did at Colorado was just massively impressive. And I thought that they would win. I thought that they would win, split those first two, and then really have a good shot yesterday. Turns out they did have a decent shot to win yesterday, but just couldn't get it done.
And I think to your guy's point, I mean, look, they're playing the Phillies at a time where the Phillies are playing really, really, really well. And look, the Phillies are going to be really good. I mean, that team is probably going to win upwards of 90 towards 100 games, especially with the way they look right now and the way they're pitching. But keep in mind, this was the same Padres team that a couple of weeks ago had that run against the Cubs and the Dodgers and the Brewers where they won all those series. And we were very high and impressed on how they were playing. I think the truth of this team right now probably lies somewhere in the middle, right? Where, they're not as bad as they look this weekend. They're probably also not as great as they looked over that run. Right now, they probably sit somewhere in the middle. At this current moment, you've lost 4 in a row, so it doesn't feel great. But again, I said this yesterday in the post game, I just think, right now it's imperative, though, they start playing better and you don't let this kind of losing skid get out of hand, because again, with the schedule and what we learned last year is when you get below 500 and you get 3, 4, 5 games below.
Time's up. 5 seconds left. We'll catch you on the Eco Water SoCal pregame show.
Sorry, we love you.
We'll talk to you. I think Sam Levitt might actually still be talking right now. Paulie, can we just pull him back up and he can continue?
He's like, and then, he's got to be better.
He says in his chat, they played me off the stage, rightfully so.
It wasn't us.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. And Sammy, I apologize because I was going to build up and plug that you're doing the pre and the post game show on YouTube now. You can see the Eco Water SoCal pregame show and the postgame show on YouTube, just like you can all of the rest of our shows on 97.3 The Fan. We've added that to the mix as well. You can catch Sammy at 5:40 today talking about the Padres and Reds matchup, and once again be live from the Western Metal Supply Company building in the loft at Petco Park today as the Padres try to turn things around with Matt Waldron on the mound against Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds. Ellie De La Cruz and company in town.
Fun player to watch, man. Such a fun player to watch. Having a really good start to his season, too. Yeah, Lodolo's looked good. He's looked good. I was looking at some numbers, guys that have faced him. Man, he's hit him pretty well. Other than that, I mean, just limited ABs. And then only one player on their team has ever faced Matt Waldron and hit a bomb off of him. So I think it was Candelario. But yeah, kind of an unknown for both teams tonight.
It almost feels like, because I look at those same matchups and player versus batter, player versus pitcher, and somehow with the Padres, it never seems to really matter.
It never really does. And listen, guys add pitches, guys subtract pitches, guys get better, they add velo, whatever, completely different.
And it's not always bad, too. Sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we haven't had any success against this guy, and then the Padres go out and put 9 up against him on a given day. And part of that is, it's baseball, and baseball's a weird sport that way. But the Padres, to me, and especially this last season plus, have been the most logic-defying baseball team that I've ever covered.
No question.
When you expect one thing, that's when the other thing happens with the San Diego Padres.
No question about it.
And it's hard to really get a grasp. It's hard to talk about this team on a daily basis because you say we can go through 4 hours, give all our analysis, and then it all seems pointless the next day.
Yeah, literally.
Because they'll go out and they'll look great. They'll look fantastic.
Like,
and then we'll be all excited.
What are you worried about?
Okay, this is why did we care? Why did we think anyone was struggling? Because they look just fine now. And then they'll go right back into slumping and struggling. And again, partly the nature of baseball, but it seems like the Padres
here
take it to the extreme. They take the ups and downs of baseball to a very high level that is very difficult sometimes as fans for us to stomach the roller coasters.
Yeah, and you think about it and you think, man, there are teams right now playing in the big leagues that are good teams, and they draw 1,700 people to their games. Good teams with exciting young players, and they've spent some money, and they've got a fan base, but they don't show up. And then you look at Petco Park this weekend, 120,000 people deep. And what do? They drop 3 in a row. What's their record at home? Terrible. What's their record at night at home? 1-9. Horrific. Like, it just, that takes away. How many times do you hear a sports broadcaster, a morning show, sports guys say, hey, listen, at least they're coming back home field advantage. There's no home field advantage. Clearly. None. 1-9 at night at Petco Park. Are you kidding me? So other teams come into Petco Park, the place where you're most comfortable playing, allegedly, and they're the ones that are super comfortable playing here. You can't get the ball out of this ballpark. Every other team can. Makes no sense to me. It defies logic, as you said.
Even a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr., he has one of the highest exit velocities in baseball. He's hitting the ball hard, yet his balls seem to die at the warning track or get caught at the warning track.
It's so nuts.
They're not hit less hard than the other guys' home
Bryson
runs.
Stotts go out.
He not hit as hard as the ones that Tatis is hitting.
Stupid.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Nope.
All right, Paulie's going to get us caught up on some of the things we missed. It is time for the first edition this week of the Reindl Report.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. Want to give a special shout out to a Loyal Reindl Report listener and fan Sadie, can't be more than 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, I think she's
Met
4.
her yesterday. Our buddy Joey's daughter walked up to the Tier 1 baseball field yesterday early, and she was there with him. And you said, Paul, you got a fan here.
Yeah, she loves the Reindl Report.
The Reindl Report.
Yeah, the Reindl Report.
If you're listening, Sadie.
She is listening.
Shout out to Sadie.
Did you guys ever go to a Sadie Hawkins dance?
No, that I was.
We had
It was like 1950s, wasn't it?
Those were the ones where the
girls
the
would ask
gal
her.
invites the guy.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Well, ask the question, Woods.
Did you?
I don't think we had any. There was one in college, but no one asked.
In
me.
college?
Yeah, we had like a. Well, no, actually, I don't know if Sadie Hawkins. It was an SYR. Did you have those?
No, I don't know what that is.
That was where you hooked up. You set up your roommate with someone.
Oh.
To go to like the party or whatever it was.
Did you get set up?
Screw your roommate. No.
Is that what it's called?
That's what SYR is. Yeah.
Wow.
What is it?
Wow.
Screw your roommate.
Like,
Are you trying to
set him up with a blind date, like sort of thing?
Does that mean like you're trying to do bits and set him up with somebody not
I think
good?
so.
Oh,
yeah.
that's mean.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, then that person that gets picked is like, oh, cool. Thanks for that.
I don't know if that's fun or not.
No.
Some people had fun with it, I guess.
We had in high school, we called it Tolo. I don't know why
Tolo.
or what that stood for, but it was always like right around Christmas, so everything was already, everybody's kind of ready for vacation, get some time off, and we had a fun dance. Like we had homecoming would be like September, October. That was pretty formal. Prom was obviously very formal. Tolo was girls asked the guys, and you wore like matching T-shirts or something like that, and it was more loose. So we had that. We didn't have a Sadie Hawkins dance.
We didn't either. Adam says they had those in high school in the 90s. They didn't where I came from. They just had regular dances. Did you go to like the school dances?
No, not really.
Like, you wouldn't even go?
Like by myself? No.
Or like with a group of your friends or something?
No, not really.
Makes me sad.
Me too. God dang, dude.
All right.
I mean, I went to like prom.
I hate when he talks about high school. It makes me when he
I
told
wasn't
us
sad though. I wasn't like pining.
Yes, you
at-
were.
No, I was
Yes,
not,
you
I was not
were.
at home pining, wishing I was at a dance. I didn't really love dances. For
you
the
didn't
most part.
go
They
there
were-
to dance.
What did you go there to
French
do?
kiss.
Yeah.
At the dance?
At the dance.
I don't think so.
Try not to get caught.
Try not to get caught. Oh, it makes me so
All right.
sad.
I got one sports story for you guys this
Sorry.
week, or from the weekend, and we'll have some fun after that. But Roger Goodell was doing some media during the NFL draft. On Friday, he joined Pat McAfee, and I saw a pretty good recap of what Roger Goodell said his ideal NFL schedule would look like.
47
And
games.
My God, is he he's onto something here.
52 weeks a year.
Right, just year-round NFL football. No, we're going to drop it down, and this is not happening yet, just to be clear, but this is his ideal schedule. He wants to go to 2 preseason games. He wants to extend the regular season to 18 regular season games, which would extend the calendar by 1 week. So that would be 18 games spread out over 20 weeks. You would give every team an extra bye. Right now you have 17 games spread out over 18 weeks. This would allow for more primetime games, which of course means more money in television dollars for the league. And by extending the calendar 1 week, you know, it wasn't that long ago. The Super Bowl was like still in January. It's well into February nowadays. Super Bowl Sunday would land on a 3-day weekend. The Sunday right before President's Day, Monday.
No brainer.
Not everybody, but a lot of people would then get that Monday off, something that we've been clamoring for years. Why isn't the Monday after the Super Bowl a national holiday? Well, now it would land on a holiday, and most people would have President's Day off. You could rage all day on Sunday, watch the game.
I haven't gotten drunk at a Super Bowl party in 14 years since I moved here to start doing morning radio. You can't do it and be any good at your job. So I'd be in favor of this.
I think everybody is pretty much on board with this, except for perhaps the Players Association, and adding another regular season game to the schedule. Is tough. Now losing a preseason game is the trade-off, which is like, okay, well, I mean, 4 was way too many. 3 still feels like plenty.
1 too many.
Probably could get by with 2, but most of the starters don't even play in the preseason, barely anymore, like a couple of series. They would have to play in a regular season game.
Yeah.
So they're adding another entire game of wear and tear to their body. Now, the extra bye week could be appealing.
Yeah.
during the regular season, have 2 full bye weeks instead of just 1.
Buddy, you could also just push the entire freaking schedule back a week if you wanted to. You
I-
can do whatever you want.
I
Keep
also
it the
think
same.
On September 15th
Yes.
instead of September 8th.
Exactly.
The extra bye week seems almost necessary now with so many now games on Thursdays and Wednesdays
Mondays.
and Fridays and whatever. The teams that have to play or in London or in Rio de Janeiro, that you could set up more bye weeks to have more of those international games to know, hey, we get through this, we got 2 weeks off before our next game.
100%.
After that, and you can't do that with just 1 bye week, but you could do it a little more often with 2 bye weeks.
Yep.
I think it's a pretty good idea.
And I love the idea of having a holiday after the Super Bowl. And if you fear that you're going to be missing out on the Super Bowl coverage, you won't. You're not going to.
As someone who has worked in sports talk radio for a while, we'll talk about it on Tuesday.
That's exactly right.
It's fine. We're more than happy to
More
hold
than
it
happy.
until Tuesday.
Yep. And that way, we'll even be able to be more prepared. Because I feel like I missed 25 things during the Super Bowl. I can watch the thing twice if I want to. So, yeah, do it. Book it.
Book it. I'm in. All right, that's it for the sports. We'll start, go here to music. I love a good rap beef.
Okay. Like a
Beef
good. There's a
in
lot of
music.
those happening right now.
And I was privy to a new one here. Well, it's not new, but new to me. So this all sparked because not too long ago, Quavo, the rapper from the band Migos, who is no longer together after the death of Takeoff a couple of years ago, they disbanded, but Quavo still doing his thing.
Yeah.
And he had a show in Bridgeport, Connecticut recently. And there might have been 100 people in the entire crowd.
You showed me the picture. It looks generous. That 100 looks generous. It looks
They
like a
are-
Rockies game.
It's a whole ass
It's
arena.
a big ass arena.
And there are about 68 to 70 people crowded around the stage right there in the pits.
I mean, we had way more people at 7 Mile Casino. For
We had 10 times
a 3
the amount.
a.m. baseball game. Yeah.
And I saw that there were people online not concerned, but saying that there might be a conspiracy theory here that so Quavo and Chris Brown, they hate each other.
Okay.
And they have hated each other for a long time. Chris Brown had a new song with a diss line in there saying something about the wrong member of Migos was taken. And
That'll get you.
Quavo clapped back. They've been going back and forth for a while. Now, there's no evidence behind this, but people and fans are convinced that in a just line out of Pettiness 101, Chris Brown actually bought the majority of the tickets to Quavo's concert so that nobody could go.
Just bought him himself. Now, Quavo gets that money, but the picture that has people talking about it is mortifying. I can't imagine being in a band or an artist and walking out and there are 60 people like standing there, huge arena floor behind them. Now, if the tickets are sold out, that is like an expensive way to be petty.
Yeah, now I'm sure someone could like go back and look at the ticket sales. And if there were like 8,000 ticket sales and 60 people showed up, that's suspicious. You don't usually get that many no-shows for an event.
By the way, the venue probably doesn't care. They sold their tickets.
No, they got their tickets.
But
Yeah.
they're missing out on beer and wine and everything else.
This has happened before. Somebody in the chat reminds us that 50 Cent bought out a ton of seats at a Ja Rule show so that nobody would be there. I mean, pettiness 101.
How can we do that to like radio competitors? I don't have that kind of money.
No, the expression is when you have that much money that you can spend things frivolously.
Yeah.
Just to make a point. That's called FU money.
FU money.
This was literally
just to make a point.
Just to make kind of a point.
That picture is staggering. And then you walk out on stage. What's up, Bridgeport? You guys ready to get after it?
Yeah, right.
Super cool.
Yeah, Adam in the chat says, I'm surprised it wasn't canceled. I will, to his credit, saw some videos. He went out and performed his show as if it was sold out.
That's what you have to do. Every venue is Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
Still did it for a whole 50 people or whatever.
so
but
sad.
I saw that and that made me laugh. Another thing that made me laugh over the weekend, Woodsy, you sent this over. There is
it's a new trend.
Yeah, this clothing
This
designer,
is real, by the way. This is not The Onion. This is a real thing.
This is very real. A clothing designer in the UK called Jordan Luca. They debuted a new pair of jeans that they're selling for $800. These are expensive jeans, and they are stained, I guess. They're like, remember like the bleached jeans?
Yeah, of course.
These are pre-stained jeans, and they make it look like you have what yourself.
Like you peed your pants.
Very much so.
$800 for jeans that are pre-stained, make it looks like you went pee-pee. And here's the thing. They sold out immediately. $810. They debuted in the fall
they're not
at a fashion show.
They're just pre-stained. They're not actually
Not wet.
No one actually
No.
like
No.
They didn't
put
use
them on and then
they didn't use French urine all over
Okay.
them and then bake it into the jeans. You wait till you guys see my new line of clothes coming out soon, the doo-doos, and it looks like that you crapped your pants, and it's cool. It's really cool. Yeah,
a pair.
brown in the back. It's really you wearing a Padres game. I'm backing the brown.
So, but if you wore those around,
people will think that you peed in your pants.
Right.
The normal person that doesn't know that these are now designed.
Do you then feel like, oh, but then they'll say it, and I'll go,
No,
these are expensive
Lucas.
designer jeans.
These are Woodsy's doo-doo
But
browns.
I don't think anyone's actually going to say anything. They're just going to
think that you peed your
They're
pants.
just going to think that you're incontinent.
They have a lighter.
And can't hold it in. They're not going to actually say anything. They're going to feel embarrassed for you. They're going to feel awkward around you, but not actually say anything to you.
They are. Who's the guy in the meeting? I always want to know about the guy in the meeting that goes, I got it. All right, go ahead. One of your ideas. We take some jeans. We make it look like guys urinated all over themselves. Then we sell them at a huge, huge markup. Did you say, yeah, like I want to do, like you had way too many drinks and you peed yourself. And so
It's kind of an expanding stain on the front.
We won't
Maybe
actually,
like a discount pair? No.
Expensive.
$800.
$800, and they have a pee stain on them.
They have the lighter wash jeans that it's not as obvious, but there's still a stain there that makes it look like you peed your pants. And those are about $600. They also sold out like in minutes when these went on sale.
How about remember when you play as a kid and you get the grass stains on your
grass
knee?
stain.
We could sell grass-stained knees with little like green spots
Put those on our
the
merch
knee.
store.
It is.
That is very weird.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
All right. Well, that's our Reindl Report for a Monday. When we come back, fairly big loss this weekend for the San Diego State basketball program. Lamont Butler is headed to the University of Kentucky. And for the most part, San Diego State fans, at least publicly, are handling it very maturely. But do you really feel that way? Come back and talk about that next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, you were out, Ben, when this breaking Aztecs news happened. I had to cover it all by myself.
He did a good job.
Thank you very much.
I wasn't stunned, although I was a little bit surprised. I had been kind of led to believe that Lamont Butler was probably coming back for one more season. And I was excited about that because he's a fantastic defensive player and has experience, is a winner, and is the kind of player you want to have in your program.
Yep.
But when I found out where he was going, it did make some sense. I figured there's big money in it, and reportedly, several $100,000 offered to go to the University of Kentucky to play for their new head coach, Mark Pope, just hired as they're trying to turn around their program with some veteran players. It would be a tough offer to say no to. So in that sense, it feels like you'd be a bad fan to be mad at Lamont Butler for taking that life opportunity and going forward. Now, you could also make the argument that if you want to play for the better basketball program, the one that has fared better the last 5 years is San Diego State, not the University of Kentucky. You're actually downgrading to go to a worse basketball program for your last year. Why would anyone go to a worse basketball program?
Money.
Money.
There you go. I did. My whole take was, I know that it's got to be hard to say goodbye to a Lamont Butler over money, right? And I did wonder kind of, is that just something we do now? We have to say, hey, we wish you well. You know it stings. You know you're saying it basically through gritted teeth. You do wish him. You don't wish poorly on him, certainly.
Right.
But you are bummed that he's not coming back to finish a really great career, which he started at San Diego State. And certainly don't begrudge him that chance to go out and get that money. I do ask the question, though. If you had the ability at San Diego State to match what they offered him, would you have done it? Let's say it's $500K. And you had $2 million to spend, which they don't. Would you have taken $500,000 and given it to Lamont Butler?
Well, you're making it sound as though it's free agency, which
kind of is.
It kind of is.
It kind of is, but there's no salary cap either. Your budget is your budget, and you can say, well, is it Brian Dutcher's fault that he's losing good players? Is it J.D. Wicker's fault? It's not really the athletic department's fault. If it's anyone's fault that the Aztecs lost Lamont Butler, it's Paul Reindl's fault.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
an alum.
Yep.
He's an alum of San Diego State.
That is.
The alums are the people who are supposed to be paying all this NIL
Makes
money.
sense. It is your
the
fault.
Boosters and the alums.
You know how Robin Williams says it's not your fault? I'm going to grab you and say
it's
it
actually
is
your fault. You thought it wasn't your fault. It actually is your fault.
It is your fault.
Interesting.
It is your fault.
Yeah, C220 Reno says SDSU can't afford $500,000.
Yeah.
Well, why can't they? Because
of Paul
Paulie
Reindl
is not giving
Hannah
all of his salary
Hannah
to San
Nancaro
Diego
Woods.
State. There you
Hannah
go. There's another
Nancaro
one.
Woods. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr.?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're all the alum?
If you're a San Diego State alum and you're mad that they're losing players like Lamont Butler to Kentucky, look in the mirror. I'm not saying that it's the right. I'm not saying that that's right about college basketball, and that's how it should be. But that's the reality right now. That the schools with the boosters who are willing to write unlimited checks to their athletic departments.
You mean it's like every other thing in America? Every other thing in America is the exact same way.
Well, I would just like to go on the record that if I can change Lamont Butler's mind, if it's not officially official, I'll Venmo him $100 to come out to San Diego State.
Yeah.
That kept Steve Sugimoto at San Diego State for
and now
another
he's
season.
a professional golfer.
Look at him.
I just don't know that $100 is going to do it for Lamont Butler.
It's just, it's tough to lose a player of his caliber, certainly. You understand 100% why he did it. You also understand probably not going to be a guy that's going to be staring down the multi-million-dollar contract from the NBA one day, right? Maybe. I mean, stranger things have happened, certainly, but
there's life-changing money.
There's other opportunities for him in other parts of the world where he can actually make some really good money. Now he has a chance to make some really good money next year playing in a program that traditionally has been a good program, right?
Like, they haven't been great the last few years, but still, you walk into that arena, you see the banners.
Yeah, dude, it's Kentucky basketball.
The weight room, the locker room, and all of it. It's Kentucky basketball.
For me, it doesn't translate. I mean, because I look out the window here and I go, yep, not leaving here. Certainly not leaving here for Kentucky. Mornings in Kentucky with Ben and Woods. Pass.
Hey, y'all.
Hard pass. Well, good morning. No chance. But I also understand he's a young man and has a chance to get paid. Take that chance, young man. I do wonder. The psychology of the sports fan remains my favorite part of this job.
I got friends that are listening right now that
are living.
We were talking about it over the weekend, and they're ride or die. They're like, all right, if he doesn't want to rep SDSU on his chest, then F him. And I'm like, man, I disagreed. I said, you know what? His legacy is cemented.
He doesn't have to buy drinks here.
No, he will be welcome back.
He does not have to buy a drink here ever.
At any point, if they bring back the team or if he's just sitting courtside in 5 years and they pan to him on the big screen, he will get an applause. That moment will live forever. The buzzer beater in the Final Four. And you get a chance to get your money, man. Like, I think the bigger problem is that San Diego State's not able to offer anything close to that.
Paulie and Hannah is really who this falls on.
and just in all, without joking, San Diego State can't really do much more. They've done the NIL, the Mesa Foundation. They're doing what they can.
Yeah.
Unless some surprise donor comes in with, T. Boone Pickens type money and says, here's $12 million for your NIL
go get 'em.
Budget to go get whatever player you want. San Diego State's never going to be in the market for the players who want the most money. So they're going to rely on players who want to play for Brian Dutcher, who want to develop their game and are willing to do it for a little bit less.
Yep.
And they're going to require Brian Dutcher to stick around and remain the head coach at San Diego State. They've given him a contract extension and a salary increase so that he doesn't go somewhere else where he can have access to more NIL money.
And it's true. It's truly the hometown discount that sports fans in San Diego always love to talk about. It's absolutely true in this era of NIL money. If somebody comes here to play, we should celebrate them. We should appreciate them because if they're really good and if they're playing at San Diego State, chances are they probably had a chance at more somewhere else. So appreciate the guys that do want to come in and become Aztecs.
But why are they coming to San Diego State? To improve their game, to be winners so that they can what?
Go to the NBA?
And maybe make more money. And now you have that opportunity to do so before you even get to the NBA. It's going to be hard for San Diego State to keep top players around. They're going to have to continue to develop new players most years, new Jaden Ladise, every single year. It's not easy, but Dutch has done a really good job so far of doing that. So we'll see if he can do it again this year. And they have some transfers that will hopefully, Nick Boyd, the new player from FAU that could step right into Lamont Butler's shoes as a point guard and a winner and someone that kind of experience. So hopefully they don't miss a beat, even though they've lost some key players. All right, before we go to our timeout, we've got some San Diego Legion tickets to give away. That actually a rough one over the weekend, but they're going to try to bounce back against Dallas, the Jackals, this Sunday at Snapdragon Stadium. You can grab some tickets for San Diego's rugby team at sdlegion.com, or you can win them a pair of tickets right now by being the third caller at 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. San Diego Legion, Dallas Jackals, Sunday at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll come back to a little look ahead to the Padres Red Series starting tonight at Petco Park and wrap things up, get you ready for Annie and Elston on a Monday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Already the final segment of Ben and Woods. Time flies when your buddy's back from Vegas. You get to all get together again. It's nice having you back, big guy.
It's good to be back. Conversely, when one of us is gone, the time moves very slowly.
It does. Thursday's show with
you must have had the longest show on Thursday ever.
It was long. I had like 15 people in here, so that was a little long, and I was talking very fast because I had to fill all these voids. Usually that you help fill.
But then on Friday, you had to come in after the loss to the Rockies. That had to be fairly brutal.
It's the best thing that could have happened to this show. I'll say it again. It's the best thing that could have happened to this show. If they had won that game 9-4, Paul and I would have been in here pulling our putts with nothing to do. Just not like, good win, took 3 of 4. You're done. You're done at that point. That's it. That's the whole recap of the series. Yeah, guys hit, they pitched, got out of some jams. 9-4 win for our Padres, 3 out of 4 on a nice little winning streak. The fact that they blew that game in such spectacular fashion, I don't want to see them blow a game ever again. That being said, it literally got us through 4 hours of programming. Because without it, we're dead in the water.
What were the tone of the phone calls?
You know what? We had some positive, we had some negative, we had some keep the faith, we had some, let's see how they rebound. That didn't go well. So,
how did they rebound?
They did not rebound well at all. And so we had some of that. We had people like to call and give their histories. Yeah, it was the Padres fans. Blah, blah, it's fine. They're actually good callers. But I felt it important to open the phones and, let people get it off their chest because that was a tough one to watch. I mean, it was one of those you're watching that game and you exhale when it's over and go, you said it. You were looking at you thought they had it in the bag.
Yeah. I looked at the score 8-4, 9-4. Oh, good.
3 hours later.
Way to go. Way to bounce back from that tough loss in the second game of the series. Yep. We said all Monday, we said, hey, they got to take 3 out of 4 in this series. And then they come back and they get that Wednesday game and I go, okay, and they're up 9-4.
Yeah.
It's just what they needed. This is just what the doctor ordered.
Well, it's like I said on the air. My job is a content aggregator, and there was plenty of content after that loss to aggregate. The Mike Schilt audio, the Mike Schilt interview that we had on Friday. Everything took a little bit different of a tone. But no, your mom texted me. She gets very worried when you're out of town because. Like Kyle Glazer came in and filled it. He did a great job. Got a lot of praise. The wives came in. Everybody did a great job. We had fun, whatever. And she goes, I always think that you want to replace him when he's gone because if you have a good show. And I text her. I said, you have no fear. Have no fear. We're not us when one of us isn't here. So don't worry about that. You're a star.
She doesn't text me when you're gone.
I know.
Say,
no, she knows. She knows.
Wasn't it nice to not have Woods there?
She knows what's coming.
No, she's very happy with you.
She is. She loves me.
She does.
As she should.
Very much so.
Yeah.
All right, let's check traffic for a final time. Come back, look at today's game and the series matchup against the Cincinnati Reds next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air company. Visit them at airmax.com. Well, guys, we still have a few problems here. One is this crash on the transition ramp, eastbound 8 to the southbound 5 connector, and in the North County, northbound 15 before the 78. Collision involving a couple cars there over to the right shoulder. Still clearing an accident westbound 78 at Nordall Road. Do not push over to the right shoulder. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air company with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,300 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
By the time we take the airwaves on Thursday morning this week, everything could be absolutely fine for your San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
Or things could be really bleak by that point as well. You're taking on a Cincinnati Reds team that's currently 15-13. Padres are 14-17. If you win the series, or even if you swept the series, you get back to 500, you pass the Reds, you're all of a sudden, the Philadelphia sweep is in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, it's
a blip in a long season. It's a quickly fading memory of something that happens to every team. If you lose this series or get swept, you could be 4 or even 6 games under 500,
Time to blow it up.
All of a sudden, you're looking at a big mountain to climb. You're going to we got to play a good 2 or 3 weeks to get back into, positive territory and above 500. So, yes, you're going on the road after this to face the Arizona Diamondbacks, divisional opponent. And while you have not played well at home, don't be counting on going on the road and
dominating
and everything being fine as soon as you leave Petco Park. That's a poor way to strategize your baseball season.
Bro,
so
we've got MLB Network on in the studio, and just in their last segment, they were talking about should these teams be rebuilding, and it was the Padres, the Mets, the Red Sox, and maybe the Cardinals, and just the fact that we're lumped into that conversation already, I'm like, oh God.
But what that conversation does not address is the fact that the Padres can't rebuild. There's really no path to rebuild for the San Diego Padres.
It doesn't. There is a path, but it's not a good one.
I don't know. What would be the path?
Well, I mean, to rebuild, like if they lost 15 games in a row, and you're like, all right, this is who we are.
Let's just go to the end of the season. Let's go to the end of this year.
Well,
Padres.
You got to go to the trade. You got to go to the trade deadline. That's where you need
trade
to go.
deadline. Fine, trade deadline,
and you're out of it. Yeah, there's a path to a rebuild. Sure, it's trading Ha-Seong Kim. It's trading Dylan Cease. It's trading.
But why would you let if you really need to rebuild? Do you let AJ Preller be the one who does it?
That's the other.
Point?
I mean, that's the other thing. Who knows? Who knows? That's I'm just talking about the path to the rebuild actually being there. There is one. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look pretty.
Look, if the path to the rebuild includes a new front office, a new general manager, what does the new general manager get to come in and do?
I have no idea. Like literally,
trade Fernando Tatis Jr. I really find it hard to believe that the Padres' best path could be trading a guy who you feel pretty good about his long-term contract, his status of being a perennial all-star type player, a platinum Gold Glove winner, a guy who is scorching the ball off the bats.
It's Fernando Tatis Jr.
We're kind of cemented into the inability to do a full teardown, fire sale rebuild. Like that can't happen.
Your other players who aren't performing as well right now: Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Xander Bogaerts, and even Manny Machado coming off an injury. You're not getting anything for them at the moment.
You're giving.
Their contracts are probably prohibitive for other teams to want to offer big-time prospects. I mean, even if you ate a lot of money, I don't know that you can even do that. So I don't think there is much of a path to a rebuild.
Rebuild's not the right word.
You're trying to win with these guys for the next few years. Whether you do or not, I've got no idea.
The reboot, though, the reshuffling.
Well, you're always kind of doing that in baseball.
True. Yeah, I don't know that
looking for the right combination, looking for better players, looking to retool. But in terms of the core, you've got it. I don't think it's changing much for the next 3 to 4 years, at least.
They all have no trades, by the way. So, if they wanted to go, they could waive it, right? But I mean, you're talking about you'd probably have to attach prospects to Xander Bogaerts and a buttload of money and everything else just to be rid of a contract. I don't think they should do that.
That's not a rebuild.
No, that's not a rebuild. That's a
disaster.
That's a fire sale disaster.
Full on, and that's not going to happen. I feel confident in saying that they're not going to do something that both hurts their product now and in the future just to save a couple, $20 million. They're not going to go down that path.
Yeah.
They want to continue to fill up Petco Park. That's their business model is, full ballparks, exciting products, and hopefully winning baseball on the
wins,
field.
Yeah.
They have failed on the last front for the most part. They're looking for that answer, but they're going to continue to look for that answer. The question is whether they can find it. As for this series against the Cincinnati Reds, in that sense, this is an important early season series for the Padres. It's a team that's right around your level, that thinks they're a playoff contender, that's hovering around 500, that is looking to make a statement early in the season on the road against a team that is struggling right now. And you've got to go in this first game against a left-hander, a guy that, you fare well against left-handers in the past for the most part. You want to try to get this first game. You got a familiar face in the next game. Nick Martinez is scheduled to start game 2. We'll find out if Yu Darvish is ready to come off the injured list and could return to the Padres starting rotation as part of this series going forward. And after that, you're going to count on some bounce-back performances from guys like Joe Musgrove, who's scheduled to go in Game 3 on Wednesday. And if he can figure out something between starts, that would be very helpful for your San Diego Padres to get a Musgrove-like performance out of Musgrove, a Darvish-like performance out of Darvish if he comes back.
If he does, in fact, come back. If he does not, who do you throw tomorrow? You've sent
Johnny Brito.
Brito?
Let's see Brito. Give him a chance.
Brito-Morejon combo?
Yeah, I don't know if Morejon, they used him too much over the weekend. He probably could be good for a couple of innings by tomorrow. Yep. Or Brito, then Vasquez. You can go the other way if you wanted to go that direction. But I think Johnny
Vasquez is down, isn't he? Did they bring him back up?
They could bring him back. They haven't brought him back up yet. But Brito, for me, has thrown well enough. And he, the talk was he was fighting for a spot in the starting rotation during spring training. Maybe it's time for him to get an opportunity. Love to see Yu Darvish be back, though, and pitch like Yu Darvish can as well.
Well, you got your big guns tonight that are fairly fresh, Ben. And Yuki Matsui has not thrown in a couple days. Robert Suarez has not thrown in a couple days. If you're up tonight and you need to get this win and you need 4-5 outs from Robert Suarez, I'm doing it.
And then again, I'd say Eniel De Los Santos is one of the big guns now.
He's a big gun, too.
Really well. He did pitch yesterday.
He threw yesterday. So... guys that did not throw yesterday, Morejon threw Saturday, threw 47 pitches on Saturday. Morejon did not throw yesterday. Estrada did not throw yesterday or Saturday. So, you've got some fresh arms down there. Bobby Fastballs hasn't thrown since Wednesday, so he is really, really fresh. But you also got to remember, if you keep these games close, you're going to need him potentially for all three in the ninth inning. That would be the dream. I'd love to see Robert Suarez 3 straight days. In the next 3 days, it means we've got a lead. So that's what you need. The offense got to come out, take it to this kid early, get in their bullpen, and go from there. We say that every freaking day, though.
Yeah, I think I'm most curious about what the lineup is going to look like tonight. Mike Schilt has hinted that he needs to get some guys off their feet, whether it's Ha-Seong Kim, who has played more innings than anyone in baseball. Tatis has played top 5 innings. Bogarts has played top 5 innings.
This is the problem that Bob Melvin ran into last year. You started playing so poorly, you can't sit those guys because you've got a fairly weak bench. But this is exactly what happened to Bob. Wanted to get Toddy off his feet.
And you want to get him off his feet, but then you feel like you can't because we need to win this game.
Yeah.
And how could the possibly best strategy be to take Fernando Tatis out of the lineup when you need to win a game?
Rest assured, if we had won that game yesterday, one of those 3 guys is off their feet today.
I wonder what it'll look like tonight, though, especially against the left-hander. Well, we'll find out later today, and we will talk about it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That is it for us. Annie and Elston are up next. For executive producer and imaging director Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Hope we got your week off to a good start. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.